Yo, we are live now. What's up,
We did
DevTips?
it.
Yeah, so hey, what's up? I'm Travis again, hosting here, DevTips, and got Max in the house. Max, my co-host, my homie for life. How's it doing? How's it doing, buddy?
Pretty good, man. Chilling. How you doing? How was your
I'm
week?
good. My week was good, man. My spouse has been traveling, so I've been like locking down the dad role pretty hard, doing all the deliveries and stuff.
Mr. Mom.
It's been busy. I feel quite tired, but I'm excited to talk with you. We got this new live stream going. I feel pretty good about it.
It's pretty exciting. We don't have to edit anything.
That's the main thing,
I'm looking forward to
bro.
that. That is the main
Yeah,
thing.
like just like lower that production barrier, right? Yeah. All right. So looks like we got one viewer in the live thing. I see there's like a little thing. So this is our first time doing the live, learning a lot about it. So what's up, everybody? I think we got a live chat going. I want to present this here. This add to stage. Here we go.
Mhm.
Here's a DevTips survey, or what is this? What are these things called? A questionnaire that I did a month ago after our first episode, returning in the new era, to say what's up to Max. I just showed him a minute ago. So Max, officially from the DevTips community. Hello, good sir.
Hello, good sirs and ladies.
There
and
we
everything
go.
in between. Yep.
That's what's up.
Hello. It's good to be here.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. We got this new feature where we're able to pin a comment from our community. Yeah. I was nervous about if this would work or not, but I'm really excited. Jeff says,
cool.
where have you been? Bro, I've been all over the world and back again, and still doing it. Max is the same thing right now. You're broadcasting from like literally 12 hours away from me. We're like got the whole globe locked down right now.
We're literally on opposite sides of the globe. Yeah.
We are. It's pretty cool. Like, and to answer the question, where have I been? I got a nice presentation that I'm going to do today. Actually, let's just jump into it. So let me do some clicks here. Ba-bam, a show and tell. Okay. So the history of this, purple. Yeah, the good colors, right? Dude, for the colors, let me show you this website that I've been using to get colors. What is it called? It's called randomly. Let me share this tab. This website is dope. So you just click new colors and you can set the
I love it.
Yeah, you can set like the contrast ratio.
Yeah,
and then
for the accessibility.
Yeah. So all of these colors can be rated for their accessibility, and also they're like very cool. You can lock it, you can pin it to like a blue and just see like, okay, what works with this green or whatever. But this is what I've been using, for my presentations lately. So I can have like these like really wild colors, but they're very readable, and colors I'm not so great at. So I've been using that lately.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm looking out. I'm going to be using that.
Yeah, so that's your tip for today. That's your dev tip for the day.
Nice. There, we got it out of the way. We did a dev tip. No, we don't have to do any more dev tips.
Now we're done with the tips. Only Max says, hello, what's up, my guy? Adam here says, hey Travis, great to see you back in the channel. Literally wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I didn't watch your tutorials back in the day. Adam, that's so cool to hear. I'm really, really, I really do glow when I read things like that, because I don't know, like the older I get, the more I realize like life is just so hard. like I thought it would get easier as you get like older, but it's just stayed difficult the whole time. And so when I read things like that, it just warms my heart to know that like I could help somebody along their journey. Here's from Jess or Jace. Great to see DevTips up and running again. Stoked to see Travis's smiling face. Same, dude. And thanks for the comment. That's really awesome. Here we got STO saying, good to see you. I remember your early CSS vids. They really got me out of many jams. Yes. That's awesome. Dude, I was...
Farrell says, I thought you died.
Spoiler alert, I kind of did. But we got, dude, I would like to go. Let me post this comment again. I would like to go sometime. Max, what do you think about this as a video, like rewatching some old DevTips content? Because I was watching, when I
Yeah.
inherited the channel again, I started watching a few of the old things. I was making a playlist of like the greatest hits, just before I started ramping up video production again. And I started watching them and I was just like, man, this kid was a little extra back in the day, like, so I think that'd be kind of a funny,
It would be
fun.
fun, yeah. We can mystery science theater it, and
Dude, yes,
yeah.
yes. I think Google was so hard to survive without us, and Travis is back now with us. I think Google was so hard to survive without us. Oh, yes. So I think Parth is saying like when I joined Google, it was very difficult. Yeah, there was a lot of growing pains for sure joining Google, and the community here at DevTips really, really smoothed out a lot of that for me, especially like in the confidence way. Talking about like imposter syndrome and stuff like that, because I'm just like this little dirt boy, coming in from wherever I crawled out of, and like joining the table with all these people who have like, like they're very talented, very established and stuff. So Jay says, dev tips and fun are the reason I grew as a developer over my formative years of my career. Can't thank you enough. That's so cool, man. I'm really, really happy about that. And I just want to dive into Max here, my co-host here. I'll do this, change the layouts. We got these auto layouts I'm pretty excited about. Max here is a formidable developer as well. Even though the slant of this channel is not necessarily going to be heavy tutorials and things like that, we might run into a lot of that kind of in the future as we get more comfortable with our content and, looking for ideas to share. Max, do you want to kind of run down a little bit of your history of your development? And it's like when I met you, you were hired into the company I was working at as like the development director in design, the digital design and whatever your title was.
Yeah.
Talk us
You
through
were
that.
the creative director on the design side, and I was the developer director or whatever title that was. But
You
we were
had a
both
good
doing
string.
design.
There's like design, digital design development director or something like that.
Interactive design development director, something like that. Some
Okay.
ridiculous title. Yeah.
We made them up for ourselves anyway.
I think we did actually make them up for ourselves. Yeah. And to be honest, you and I were both starting out at that point. We both learned how to be multifaceted developers, designers together.
That's what's up.
Yeah. I wouldn't be actually where I am today if it weren't for that period of my life.
Totally. Same. Yeah.
Yeah. But since then, yeah, as far as like my history goes, I've cut my teeth working in corporate Los Angeles after that. And then, I went to LA, you went to not San Francisco. Well, SparkArt was in San Francisco or
Oakland.
Outside of it? Oakland? Okay.
Oakland. Yeah. Oakland for 7 months.
Yeah. So
I wasn't there very long, but it was a great memories.
We were both at Brain Trust, and then we both went to California at the same time. Because
well, there's a funny story where you got me the job. Yeah. Tell that.
I got that job first. I wanted to move to California, and I had my heart set on LA because that's where my friends were, and that's where I'm from originally. But I was looking for, I was like, I'll go to San Francisco also. Why not? And I put out some feelers, and I got a job at SparkArt. But then I got another job. Somebody accepted me at Digital Kitchen in LA. So when I called them to turn down the job, I said, hey, I'm taking another offer, but you got to hire my friend Travis. And
nice.
I showed them your work. I talked to them. I was like, trust me.
Yeah.
It's better for you guys. You're getting a better person, actually.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Yeah. And then I talked to you about it, and I was like, hey, I already told them you took the job. You got to take it now. So you took the job, and you moved to California at the same time that I did. And from there, I was doing freelancing on the side, and I had clients from all over the world. And one of my clients who I met in the U.S. was actually like an Italian poker player who was investing in a business with a friend of mine, and that friend asked me to help them develop it. And I built their brand and business, and I think they ended up selling it a couple years later for quite a lot. But during that time, I had the opportunity to come to Europe, so I did, and I got a job offer in Milan while I was there, and I decided to just stay. And that was 14 years ago. No, 13 years ago. Yeah.
14
Quite a
years ago.
while. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Um,
and since then, I've really been, I was the creative director and development director for a agency in Milan for 4.5 years, 5 years.
a lot of
But
serious clients there, huh? You told me like Lego was one of your clients?
Mattel, I won
Mattel?
several awards for campaigns and web applications that I developed for Mattel Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a big deal. Like the whole agency won all these awards for the stuff that we did there. But yeah, clients like a lot of fashion. I mean, it's Milan, Italy, right? So a lot of fashion, Ferragamo, Gucci, obviously like streetwear stuff like Converse, Nike, Puma. Worked with them. So yeah, a lot of fashion brand work, which I love. I love editorial and fashion design.
Mm-hmm.
So building applications in those industries I really really loved it. But I
Oh,
did
and
get a little burnt out working with Italians.
I want to
I'm
interrupt you
Italian,
for a
so it's like,
second.
yeah.
Oh, we got Andrew here in the live chat, everybody. Andrew we've got another comment from Andrew. Ba-boom. Andrew is the previous host of DevTips and the previous owner of the channel. So I want to say thank you to Andrew for
Nice.
really keeping the channel alive, contacting me and kind of setting up this whole scenario where we can have these conversations. So always love to Andrew. Huge appreciation. I just want to interrupt you, Max, to shout out that comment we got here from Andrew.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I see another comment from Parth Patel asking what we should expect in the future, and yeah, we will be doing some dev stuff, but kind of playing it by ear, seeing where it goes. And as we were just talking, I was giving a little background on my development career.
Yeah.
We both are designers and developers. I'm a full stack engineer, so I'm excited to actually get into that stuff. So we will be doing DevTips stuff, but right now we're kind of just feeling it out and figuring out what to do. We're just hanging out and having a good time for right now. Yeah.
Yeah, getting our sea legs back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you said you were in Milan and then you finished there. And then
yeah, I was in Milan. I got a offer in Switzerland, so I ended up going to Switzerland, and that was 2016, I believe, beginning of 2016.
The beginning of the end of all things, 2016.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just remember 2016 as being a very pivotal year in like the world. Like everything just kind of like really shifted that year, and then we've just been on this barreling course.
That's because that's when Trump was elected.
That is when Trump was elected.
That's when Obama left office. So that was a pretty pivotal part in our recent history as
there was a tone change in the world. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You felt that all the way over in Italy?
The entire world follows American politics. Yeah. Every country, I mean, it's all one big thing now, right?
Yeah.
In the Western world.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into that.
No, for sure.
But yeah, I think that's probably the significant thing that you're thinking of.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, 16 always stands out as like, yes, I remember that year. Like I remember it very well. But I think there was also the year that I left DevTips maybe as well. Maybe not. I don't know. But anyway.
Ago.
Oh, it's been a minute, bro.
When did you leave DevTips? Where's Andrew at? Is he still here?
I can look into it.
He
but
knows, right?
Yeah. Andrew says Nike loves working with our agency partners. Yeah. Andrew's a developer at Nike.
And nice.
Yeah.
We did work with Nike in Milan. Yeah.
Nice. Far out. So tell me about Switzerland. What was up there?
Well, there I was asked to come aboard as the CTO and brand director of a financial data company, but it was like a crypto startup. Mm-hmm. And it was really fun, and I wasn't into crypto really before that, before 2016. So like I got into it and started building tools and developing, and I was first to market with quite a few really cool features. So I developed a really cool API that was accessible via SMS and text through the Twilio API, which is normally for 2FA, but you can kind of hit any endpoint of any API. So I was I spun up Ethereum, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin nodes all on DigitalOcean. So I had all these nodes running, and then obviously scraping the data, putting it into our database. So the front end was snappy and it was showing data not directly from the blockchain, but from the database. And with this API, you can create a single account and it would create wallets across all of these different platforms because they all accept these 12-word mnemonic phrases to create wallets across all of them. So you could just have a single phrase or a single passkey, and then further encrypted that with the user's password, and then that encrypted metadata was stored. So it was semi-non-custodial because you can't decrypt it with only the user can decrypt it. So it was a really cool thing. We spoke at the Litecoin conference in San Francisco in the beginning of 2017. It was very cool. The unfortunate thing is the people I was working for who owned it and they didn't really know anything. They just wanted to do crypto because that's where the money was at. And unfortunately, they raised a lot of money and then disappeared. They just me and the team, we were like, have you been paid? And they were like, no, have you been paid? And then DigitalOcean was shutting down. We're like, why and we couldn't get a hold of the owners.
Yeah. They just took the bag and ran.
Yeah. They just disappeared. And so then I was just there. I was like, okay, well, I guess I don't have a job anymore. I don't know. I don't know where they went. I haven't been. So then I moved to Berlin. And there I worked with Parity, which is another pretty big blockchain company in the industry. Very large. They created the Polkadot chains. The founder, Gavin, he co-created Ethereum. So they're a pretty big player in the space.
Yeah.
And that was very fun. I did all the branding for Substrate and the front end stuff. The Kusama network design and development for their site. I developed all of their internal tooling for document management and stuff, which was very fun.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came time to kind of renew, I kind of wanted to get out of the crypto industry.
Yeah.
Just because it's, I love it. I just don't necessarily like working in the industry because the majority of people that are in the industry are not developers. They're not programmers. They're not excited about economic theory or philosophy or the actual possible implications for society. They're not into the tech. They're into it for the money,
Right.
And as most people are. So I personally still am currently developing some cool platforms that I'll be rolling out soon. But I'm doing them I'm not working for other people in that industry anymore.
Nice. Hopefully we'll get
that's
into
a little
those
background.
Here. Yeah.
Brief and not,
No, that was wonderful.
And not accurate, but but here we are in 2024 now.
Yeah, thanks for that overview, dude. I like that because I want DevTips community to kind of know that you're actually a heavy hitter. You're not just some random dude I pulled out of the, whatever. You're
appreciate that.
Yeah. You're a legit creator, a legit coder. I think your skills are higher than, mine, of course. But anyway, yeah. So this presentation that I had up on screen earlier, let me pull it back up, is something that kind of add to stage. Okay. That kind of, oh yeah, Adam.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I had to highlight this comment. CodeKit. Travis and I were talking about this recently.
Yeah, last week.
How much we loved and still love CodeKit.
CodeKit's lit. I like CodeKit.
It's yeah.
It's still around,
I actually have it because I re-downloaded it not that long ago because I wanted to see if it was still around, and I missed that style of coding.
Yeah.
Because now it's yarn create next app. You have this next environment. You're in React, and I love React, but there was something cool about just a couple of HTML files and importing a JavaScript file and CodeKit handling it. There was something so nice about it.
It just smaller and easier to manage.
Felt cozy. Yeah.
Yeah, cozy. Yeah.
I miss CodeKit.
So this deck that I have here is kind of like a show and tell. At work at YouTube Music, they asked me, we kind of do it every Friday. A different person kind of takes over and they kind of share something. One person did they're also into fashion design, and so they created a whole fashion line. Somebody did pottery, someone did a demonstration on meditation or textiles and fabric art. So weaving and knitting and things like that. So they asked me, and I was just like, I don't know what to talk about. And then so I called my mom, and I was like, Hey, mom, send me some pictures from when I was a kid. And we had this like really funny conversation. And so that kind of like got the wheels rolling. And that's how this kind of ended up. So I realized that there's like that I kind of tend to box my life journey up into locations, kind of like how you were just telling your story a minute ago. Like and like the memories that you create are like, definitely based on the environments that you're in. And there's definitely some like themes that are repeating, but also as they show up in different locations, very different. So my show and tell is what we're going to share today. I feel
Nice.
like some of it because it's just funny, and also because when I was doing the presentation, I just kind of like sped through it because it got long, and there was another person that needed to actually talk about real work, and I and like I just like wanted to really go through it, and I was like, I have a YouTube channel, I'll go through it.
I get
So
it. Yeah, you went through the work of doing this,
yeah,
and you had to rush through it. You're like, I may as well,
yeah, there's a
yeah,
few cool things in here I want to
get some
share.
bang for your buck. Yeah.
Yeah. So my story starts in Nevada. Well, actually, I was born in Colorado, but I moved here when I was like really, really young. I think 3 years old is what I say, but I'm not even sure about that.
Mhm.
So from ages 3 to 18 is like the first era of Nevada. And like those themes are just like youth, youth growing up in the 90s. Here's some baby pictures of Travis. See? Homie's dope. Look at that. Like this is how I was even back then. I was just ready for it.
You
Show
haven't
me
changed at all.
like this is show me the camera. I got it. And then let's give him some love to my little bro. He's a cute kid. I found out because, my mom sent me these photographs that we had gone to the Grand Canyon. I never knew that. So here we are at the Grand Canyon. Look at that
Are
thing.
you sure that's you, and is that your family? Are you sure?
That's me. That's the little
That's you
the
right there?
little red jacket. Look at that smile. Of course
Okay.
that's me.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on the
Yeah.
right,
Just making sure, because they could have just sent you. She could have just given you a picture of any family.
you never know. Yeah, you
Yeah.
never know. And that's true. Like I kind of don't look when you're young, it's just kind of not easy to tell, but as we're older, like all of my brothers have red beards, and I'm the only one that ever had like dark features and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I look a little bit different from my full-blooded brothers, but we actually have a blended family. So a few of these are steps. And this dude here, he's my stepdad. He's lit. He's so cool, and it's so fun to see him so young like that.
I've only met one of your brothers. Oh no, and actually I met a whole bunch of your family at an event.
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know. What event was it?
Yeah, remember? But I think only one of your brothers was there. But I think you had like aunts and your mom and somebody.
Was it at the birth of my child? You were there.
No.
No, because
No, this was another thing. It was some other event that your family had that you invited me to.
Okay.
Back
cool.
in like 2010 or 2009.
That was a good year. So there's me playing with a stick, just in case you wanted to see some stick play.
So you're at Google, and this is what you're showing them.
I'm showing. Yeah, I'm
How
showing
many
them
people
this
are you
stuff.
showing this to?
Oh, geez, maybe it was less than 20 in
And
the
it's
room.
remote because you're in Hawaii.
And it's remote, yeah. And also like there's some people that I didn't know that were showing up for like different business review, like that was going to happen after I was doing this. They were showing up to do like a bug bash on some product, and I was like showing them pictures of me like
they're like, am I in the wrong meeting?
Yeah. But yeah, here's my dogs.
Your
on the
dog's name
left.
was Bart?
Yeah, well, we had a few dogs, but I think this one was called Bart. Yeah. Yeah. And
Nice.
yeah, I'm wearing a cool sweater. I like cool sweaters. I always have. And yeah, it's so fun to see my crew back when we were like 6 and 7. I don't know. I just like this stuff. I'm being very selfish by sharing this stuff because it's like I think it's so fun.
It's pretty funny. Wow, look at that picture all the way to the right. How old were you there?
This one here?
Yeah.
Geez, this is middle school, I think. Yeah. I had a
Yeah, the 90s spikes. I had that too. Every kid had the same hairstyle in the 90s.
Like, well, again, this is a sweater. Like I really got into knit sweaters, and I even had this teacher who would call me Sweater Boy. Like that was his
Uh-huh.
name for me. He called me Sweater Boy. And even to this day, like this sweater I was showing you earlier, like I put patches when I put holes through it. Like I just love like a woolly, scratchy sweater. Sometimes I wear woolly sweaters without even like a shirt underneath it because they just like I really like that scratch. So here's a few stories from my early life in the desert. Like I was one of 6 kids, and we lived in the same house that my stepdad was raised in. So like he was born at the hospital down the street, and they brought him home to the house that I grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
And just like a sentimental thing is that they just sold it last month. It's pretty wild. Like that's like a whole era,
Yeah.
like generational, house. And now somebody you don't know lives in it. I was listening to this Alan Watts thing, and he's like, the house that you're working so hard to pay for, a stranger will live in it later
Yeah.
on. I was like, damn. Clark says,
Pedestrian lives tip.
okay, let's go. Welcome to the live stream, Clark. So we're walking through this slideshow about my early life. Both my parents had full-time jobs, so I was definitely like a latchkey kid. And so I was like raised on 90s television. I read tons of comic books and listened to tons of music. And I was a little bit of a troubley kid. I got in trouble quite a lot. I was grounded most of my middle school, like successive groundings, like every week grounded for a different reason. And I had to get permission from my mom to like sing in my rock and roll band. I was like, Mom, please can I not be grounded this weekend because we have a concert? And so so here's my after school activities. I worked at a skateboard store called Pyro Skate, and it was like the most ridiculous. Like this is what I thought work was like, just hanging out with your friends and not getting anything done. People would walk in the store and we wouldn't greet them. We would just like,
Pyro skate. Where?
that
What
was
part
in
of town
the
was that? I've been there before.
that was in the mall, Galleria Mall in Las Vegas.
Pyro skate at Galleria Mall. You worked there?
I worked there
That's crazy. Yeah, I used
in
to
high
go there all the
school.
time when I was the same age.
Yeah.
So I probably bought a skateboard from you at some
Dude,
point.
we had
That's so
a
funny.
we would just skate in the store a lot, and like there was like no ramps or anything. We'd just be skating around, and like we had an aluminum kind of park bench, and we'd like be grinding on it in the middle of the store. People would be like coming
Were
in.
you good at skating?
No, I was actually I was more talented in BMX. Like I spent a lot of
Okay.
time on the bike. My brother was a really good skater, but I just happened to land this job because I knew like a bunch of skaters, and it was like they were all my friends and it was fun. But also like the more, maybe more important thing to me was that I was in a rock and roll like band. I was in a punk band, and we were kind of like screamy hardcore. And so this is like, we took over my dad's garage. You can see his tools. This is bringing back so many memories. Took over his tools and kind of like said, this place is ours. And my parents didn't like, they didn't say anything. They didn't say, hey, good job. Then they didn't say stop. They just left us alone, and we just kind
Yeah.
of took it over.
What was the name of your band?
There's a few of them. I think the most prolific one was called Second Option,
Uh-huh.
which I don't even know what the meaning of it was. But like, I got some photos of being the showman here. So I was the singer in the band, and it was such a lot of fun. Just a bunch of desert boys screaming at each other.
Uh-huh.
We got a comment here from Torek. I'm happy to catch a bit of the live stream. Super excited to see more content coming from the channel. Thanks, Torek, for stopping by. So we were just like figuring out how to, exist and just make friends, make connections. It was kind of like my first introduction into business, making relationships, making agreements, like showing up when you're supposed to, kind of like things like that. It was new to me. I was like 14 years old, 15, and kind of like trying to kind of run this band. And this is also how I got into design, because, we were a band. So we needed a flyer. We needed a t-shirt. We needed a website, things like
Exact
that.
story with me, yeah.
That's what's up, man.
I had a band and I wanted a website, so I taught myself.
And like your whole life goes in that direction because you had a band and needed a website. That's like the story of my life.
Our lives went in that direction
Manuel.
because we happened to find it incredibly entertaining to design.
Yes. There
right?
was a crew, there was like in the Las Vegas punk scene, there was this crew of designers. Like there are people that were into design,
Hmm.
and a lot of them were associated. Do you know the band Curl Up and Die?
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of them were in the Curl Up and Die crew.
Uh-huh.
And I always thought they
Yeah,
were
I remember all
so
those
cool.
kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was like such an honor to become friends with them and kind of like play shows with them and stuff.
My
And
band played shows with all those guys back then. What was the name of your band again? I feel like we must have played shows because that
in the
was a picture of you
same
at the Huntridge.
yeah, this is at the Hunt Ridge right here,
Uh huh.
playing on the stage. This one too, actually. So I spent a lot of time on the floor. I'm noticing, like when I was singing, I would always just like be crouched up in this little angry ball.
Uh
Here's more,
huh.
and yeah, that so the band's name was Second Option, and we played a lot of shows, but we didn't produce a lot of like records. We did a few demos, and then the other band was called Born Under Bitter Skies, and that one didn't play as long, but we did travel more with that one.
Hmm.
We went to multiple states, California, Utah, Arizona to play, and that was kind of really exciting too. I was a little bit older, like around 17 when that was happening. But yeah, I don't know if we ever played together, but definitely we were in the same scene and we knew a lot of the same people
It was a
before we
small
even
scene.
knew each other, which was so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we didn't know each other until we worked together.
until we worked together.
But as it turns out, I bought a skateboard at your skate shop.
Yep.
Most definitely while you're working there. My band played shows with those
Same
same
scene.
crowds, same
Yeah.
scene. And what was the other thing we found out last time
Well,
that we were?
you are really good friends with a lot of people that my wife was friends with in high school.
That might have been it.
And
Yeah,
I didn't know my wife in high school either. And so like either you knew her or you knew the same people or something like that.
we had mutual friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were like in the same crowds. Yeah,
We've really been orbiting each other for a very long
it's a
time.
small town. Yeah, it was a small town actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Vegas is a really
yeah,
big small town.
yeah,
For
yeah.
for sure.
Well, especially back then for like young people doing stuff,
Yeah.
that was small. Like the city was big. There's a lot of people working, but as far as like kids that lived there
Mhm.
and doing stuff, that was a pretty small like. I mean, there was
Yeah.
like a.
Dude, I think also punk music back then it was very focused on like DIY, like do it yourself ethic and kind of
Yeah.
like if you don't see it, create it. Like it was very much about that.
Yeah,
And
make
that
your own
kind of like
flyers.
yeah, like and that set the stage. Like, and it wasn't just like making flyers, it was like organizing shows. So like
Yeah,
contacting people, renting a venue, like setting something out. Like and if something doesn't work,
figure
problem
it out.
solving.
Yeah,
Yeah, like there's been a number of times where like a venue canceled on us or something happened, bad, and you had to like rent a generator or acquire a generator and have a show out in the middle of the desert. We did that quite a few times too, just kicking up dust out in the middle of the desert
yeah.
or in like
I
somebody's
remember
shed.
random desert parties where
So
you
fun.
just roll out to some random place in the desert where we would throw a party or somebody else was throwing a party and
Yeah.
there would be bands playing with the generator. I do remember now that what we found out, we were both at the same Dillinger Escape playing show.
Dude, the first time I saw Dillinger, right? You were
We were
there.
talking about Benway Bop. We were both at those same places.
Right. And it's called Big B's is how I knew it. Big B's.
Benway Bop?
Mm-hmm. Big B. That's what we would call it in our crew.
Yeah.
I don't know who named it that or if that was the official name or whatever. This is my favorite photo from back in the day, dude. The person who took this photo blew it up. It's poster sized. I have it kind of like in the closet over there.
Okay.
It's like this
Nice.
big old froggy Travis. But it was like during those moments where it's like the breakdown, you got to get really emotional. And then when it's your turn to sing, like explode and stuff. So this was kind of like one of my first experiences in being a showman and really like controlling a crowd. And that kind of, became a theme in my life, doing, big presentations, like public speaking and things like that. So it's really fun to see how these things broke up. But then after my bands broke up, I didn't even know how to play any instruments, and I still loved to sing. And in fact, all I did back then was like scream, like like all the angry punk music. But after the bands broke up, I joined a choir at school, and I learned I learned about vocal technique, and our choir was dope. We traveled and we kind of sang with other schools and did a cross states and stuff. And I taught myself how to play guitar and eventually piano, as we'll talk about. But yeah, really, really cool time. And like just learning and exploring music. And here's some achievements my mom's proud of.
Handsome boy.
Yeah. I graduated high school. Yeah. And I'm an Eagle
Also a Boy
Scout.
Scout.
Did you know I'm an Eagle Scout?
I did know that, actually. Yeah, I did
I can
know that
tie
you're an
knots,
Eagle
bro.
Scout. Yeah,
I can
yeah.
tie like 2 knots. I don't know that many.
I did know that about you. Yeah.
After high school, I went to England for 2 years.
Mhm.
So back in the day, I grew up as a Mormon, and so a big part of my life was like that whole training and that whole belief system, which led me to traveling, going on a mission. So I dressed like this for 2 years, and I went and like talked to people. I like what I liked about it is that like I lived in so many different interesting places in England. I lived in Liverpool, Manchester, Preston. I lived in Wales for a year. And a part of that experience is you just talk to everybody, you know, like I'm sure you've had them come and knock on your door and talk to you about Jesus. I was one of those guys. It's pretty wild, right? Like to like go and think about
In the
that.
neighborhoods I grew up in, not really. I mean, Jehovah's Witness every now and then,
Oh, they didn't
but the
come by a
Mormons didn't
lot.
come by my neighborhoods. Yeah.
They heard about it. They're like,
Yeah.
don't go over there.
Yeah.
But I lost like that set me up for like not being afraid of people. I lost like all the fear of like just walking up to a stranger and talking to them, and that kind of has like been a thing that's been a superpower of mine, you know, ever since. Clark says that they hid and closed the curtains, which I kind of do now. I kind of do that now. Well, actually, the other month, oh, dude, also the food in England was awesome. Like a lot of great Pakistani and Indian food there.
If you get the non-English food, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, English food is interesting. I like their potatoes, but
Hey, don't get me wrong, I love fish and chips.
yeah,
Give me some good fish and chips, a good tartar sauce.
That's right, dude.
I'm a sucker for it.
Dude, the best fish and chips I ever had was in this little town called Conway in Wales, and like it just a fish and chips, and then just a light squeeze of lemon. And I was talking to the guy, and he catches the fish in the morning, just like right outside, and then brings it in, prepares it for you, and sells what he has that day, and then he closes up. It was it's a really great experience. So when I came home, I immediately moved from my parents' house. We went straight to California. This is around age 22. I did door-to-door sales, and I don't have any pictures from that time, but I have a few fun stories. The first one is I broke into this guy's house just in order to sell him an alarm. He was like, I don't need that, man. And then he was like answering the door because it was door-to-door, and his dog jumped at the door and locked him out. And he was like, man, I'm locked out now. He was all mad. And I was like, well, what kind of door do you have in the back? And he's like, sliding glass. I was like, bet, come on. And so I took him around and I showed him how to break into his own house. And then I sold him an alarm.
Nice.
Yes. So those sales skills really came in handy. Here's a good one. At 20 years old, this is like, you know, I was making out with this lady and I was interrupted by her 12-year-old son. Like he wandered out, you know, on the couch, and I was just like, I don't know what to do right now. Like this kid is like half my age. I was so shocked by that.
How
I
old
was
was the lady? And it's funny that this is a memory that you're showcasing here.
I shared this at work. She was at the time she was 35 and I was 20. So she was we didn't like hang out very long. After that, actually, I kind of like really slowed it down. I was like, oh, that was weird for me. But yeah, so also one fun one was like I used to like play guitar and sing, right? Like a lot. That's like I still do that every day. But I got the authorities called on me because they said that I was like making the dogs howl all night, but it was just me singing. A few fun stories. Yeah. All right. After California for about, you know, more than a summer, but not yet a year, moved back to Nevada and started school. But there I met the girl of my dreams. And a lot of people don't get this. Dave, thanks for saying hello, buddy. A lot of people don't get the grand fortune that I have. Somebody captured the first night that I met my wife. So here on the left is like
Really?
this is our meet cute. Yeah.
Wow.
So we have a bunch of suds and stuff on her face. What the story is that I met her at this party, and we were just like messing around, and she goes, "Come here," and took me over to the sink and filled it full of suds, and she put like this pile of soap on my head and goes, "Now you have a hat." And then I put it on her face, and I was like, "Now
It's
you
funny
have
when
a beard."
it's funny what's cute when you're young. If somebody did that to me now, I'd be like, "You're an insane person. What do you?
Yeah, I know,
What do you
right?
think you're doing?" When you're young, it's like, "Oh,
It's
this is a
adorable when
cute,
you're
quirky
young.
thing." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to handle that now. Somebody putting soap on me. Get out of here. I want to be
If a
dirty.
stranger did that to you, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she was super cute. You can't tell it because she has a beard in the photo, a soapy beard.
Yeah, that is a meet cute.
Yeah. And then yeah, straight up married her. Had to lock it down.
Straight up.
Straight up locked it down. She's still the girl of my dreams, still married. We're like 19 years in right now.
19 years.
Yeah,
Wow,
bro.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So a part of Nevada
And you guys are
as
still
well.
like best friends.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Like
she's dope. She's
it's
like
so
my
cool to watch you guys interact because I'm like, oh, people can actually get along for a while.
yeah.
It's cute. It's nice. It's
I
reassuring.
mean, you have to like grow together and like let them grow and become a different person as well. So I think a lot of the troubles that my peers have had, like the marriages that have ended and stuff, and there's been so many, is that they want the other person to stay the same. And I go through that too. Like, hey, you used to be like this, or like,
You've changed.
yeah. But the truth is, like, I've changed so much, and if I expect her to give me that grace or the affordance to grow and change and become different, like I need to do the same.
Yeah.
And really, like, she's gone through so many different. So like we've had in that way like so many different marriages. Cumulative 19 years, but we've had a lot of different marriages. Maybe like on our third or fourth right now. So anyway, when we got back to Nevada, I was doing sales, and kind of like that's the thing I knew and was confident about. But I also like always still loved design back from my punk rock days, and getting into like the idea of typography. I had this huge font collection. I was really nerdy about type design and print and magazines. And when we met, Max, working at the agency, most of the work that I did was primarily print work. In fact, I think this one here.
I remember all of these pieces. If you go back to I remember that ampersand wood block that you have there.
Yeah.
I remember that H&FJ catalog. I remember going crazy over Archer. We used that and everything. I remember these posters, the quote from Fight Club, and I remember seeing those in person. Oh, and the Envy ad. Yeah, that was for Brain Trust. That
this was for the ad.
Yeah, do you remember? So crazy. I remember all of these. Yeah.
these two right here on the left and right. This is for I think it was 2010. I did a study for the first 10 days of 2010, and I kind of crunched the data and made kind of like fun infographics, and kind of like had this booklet about what my life was like for the first 10 days, which is actually a reoccurring theme. I do this for my birthday every year. I create like an artifact or kind of give myself some type of gift that's mostly remembrance. It's mostly like looking back and kind of trying to understand. I try to combine my introspection and my meditation with creativity. And so I have produced over the years like a number of these artifacts. And one of them was on, a few of them have been on DevTips, like as projects. So also this is web stuff. This website here, I think I made this during I started on it. I did this for years and years, but do you remember
TravisNelson.com?
Yeah, we would kind of make and I think you were into this too, correct me if I'm wrong, but we would do
posts.
Art-directed posts. Yeah. That's right.
That was the jam. I still am a big fan of art-directed posts.
I learned so much because every post of my blog was literally designing and laying out, architecting a new layout website, basically. So each
Each
one you
post was not only I mean, for me, when I was getting into it, it was not only an experiment in design, but also development. And for you too, because we would always have like, for each design, it also called for, different development implementation or some cool CSS thing that we wanted to do. It
yeah.
was essentially just a practice sandbox.
This
Yeah.
laid the foundation for DevTips. Absolutely. Like when I came to the table at DevTips, I was like, I know how to do these things. And it's because of that, mostly this project here. We got a comment. Dave says, one of the best things about being creative and having things be physical. Are there things that can be okay, that's not a question. Okay. Are there things that can be passed along to your kids and family? That's totally true, man. That's a really good insight, Dave, is that you imbue a part of yourself into the things that you create. And when they're, oh, hey, actually, yeah. I still have
Oh yeah,
this,
you
right?
still have it. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So I still
That's so
have
cool.
this. This is like this ampersand
Wow.
is designed off of House Industries font, the ampersand, like their logo. And
Mhm.
they used to sell one, and it was like really expensive, and I couldn't afford it. And I was like, I'm gonna make it. And so like, yeah, I cut out the wood, I sanded it, I glued it, I stained it, I lacquered it, and yeah. And it's definitely an artifact. Like this will go on my kid's shelf, like when I'm dead. Dude, I've been thinking about death a little bit. Actually, I wanted to ask
Let's get
you
into it.
when I was like, maybe I should start the episode like this. Like, Max, how do you think you're gonna die? Because I was like, our options are kind of limited. You're either gonna die of like an illness or an accident. I was like, I feel like I want to kind of get lost at sea. I think that'd be a better death than sharding myself to death.
But once you're at sea,
Yeah.
you have an accident, right? Falling overboard, get eaten by sharks,
Yeah.
or get scurvy, right? Like there's
Scurvy. Yeah.
illness or accident. It's the same thing wherever you're
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
only two things that are sure in life are death and taxes. So
Speaking of which, damn. This render here, I want to say this lens is a Leica lens, and I did it because
hipstamatic.
Instagram.
Is this really? Because do you remember when before Instagram came out?
Was hipstamatic.
It was hipstamatic, and you and I loved that. Remember walking around the office, like taking pictures of every little thing. Like there are pictures of like light sockets.
I felt so creative taking a picture of like the mundane things
we're
with a cool filter.
Now,
yeah.
We're photographers. When that was one of the first camera iPhone apps.
I still have it on my phone. I love hipstamatic, but I will say this. Yeah, it is.
Huh,
it's dope. I love it. Wild. But this lens in particular is an illustration that I did because Instagram had just come on the scene, and you showed it to me. I think you showed me Instagram like way back, like when it was just photography, like just people who were interested in photography, not selfies, not pictures of your dinner.
Yeah, no algorithm.
It was just like, yeah. and they had a post on their blog. Instagram was like, we're hiring, and in order to apply, can you draw a Leica lens? So I drew this rendering of a lens because I wanted to be hired at Instagram. This is like when it was just two, like Kevin Systrom and the other fella. It was just them. This was like so back in the day, and I watched this like, yeah. So we got a comment from Gucci Membrane. I love that name.
That's a good name, yeah.
This is a blast from the past. Travis, just want to say thanks for everything. Your vids helped a lot getting my first dev job. Recently became a senior. Yes, at the same company. God bless. I'm proud of you, Gucci Membrane. Cool. That is lit. Okay, so let's move along here. So around that time, my little girl was born too. Oops, I'm zooming in. And a few of these photos are actually hipstamatic. But yeah, she's a cute little devil. She still is. Okay, and then moving forward after that, so this is when you, in the story earlier, you talked about how you got me this job in California. So we were living in Las Vegas. My little girl was born. We were discussing it with each other, and we were like, oh, we kind of don't want to raise a kid in Vegas. I don't,
That was the big thing, actually. I remember it's cool to see that picture of Jana in the hospital. I was there that day.
You were. Born. That's right.
And yeah, look how happy she is.
Yeah. Look at that
little
so bundle.
Crazy. She's like almost a fully grown human now.
She's a
How
teenager.
how old is your kid
Yeah.
now? That's
Yeah.
crazy. Um, yeah, and I remember that was the thing because I was like, hey, I already told them you're going to take this job, and you're like, I don't know, I don't want to leave. And I remember saying like, hey, you just had a kid, and
Yeah.
you don't want to raise your kid here. And I saw you and Jaina look at each other, and it was in that moment you guys were like, yeah, we gotta go. we gotta.
Yeah, dude.
we probably don't want to raise our kid here. Yeah,
You really did play a pivotal role in my journey. Yeah, I'm really glad you pointed that out. I remember that.
that's so funny.
Actually, you have a talent in particular, like aside from this presentation, you have a talent for articulating things that are just below the surface. You were doing this last week in our recording. We haven't published it yet, or if we will, or whatever. But you were saying things that I just needed, that I felt, but I had no way to express them. You just have a talent for that. I
I appreciate that, man. I
yeah.
wanted to ask you about that because you said that conversation we had helped, and I was curious. I was like, was there what specifically? Just out of curiosity, what did I say specifically that resonated with you?
A few things. One of them was like, because I was in a down mood. I was dealing with emotions, and you were like, look, bro, like if you just woke up after having like amnesia and had
The
to be
amnesia thing.
introduced to your life, what would you think? And I was like, yeah, my life is dope.
Like, yeah, I'm dope. My life is
Yeah.
dope. All right. Yeah.
And that really like helped me to kick the bad mood. And then
Nice.
you said another thing about, and I'm not even going to articulate this very well right now, and hopefully you can like bring back those better words. But you were talking about how like our selves communicate to our lower selves, and like you're saying like how like our our front brain is kind of rationalizing how you feel, but if they could, do you remember this part?
Yeah, the executive functions getting in the way of the autonomous nervous system. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was super helpful just to realize that like and it because I was in it, right? I was super in my feelings, and you helped me just kind of like say, Travis, just step outside and observe them, and be like, look, those are feelings. That's okay, and that really helped me. That helped me a lot last week. I appreciate that.
That makes me happy, man. That's good.
Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about California. So we moved to California because of the opportunity that you presented to me. And while I was in California, I met some friends and I started longboarding. So this was a lot of fun. As I said, early in the presentation, I was like a BMX kind of biker. In Vegas, we would go and like ride our bikes in the spillways and the gutters a lot. The wash. We would always be like, near the freeway. Like
you worked at the skate shop at the Galleria Mall.
Yeah.
Remember the wash next to the Galleria?
Yeah.
That was like the spot.
It was the spot. We'd always be there. Yeah. So longboarding was a lot of fun with these homies in California. And dude, we found like the perfect hack for longboarding. This environment that I'm in right here, that these photos were taken, it's out in Dublin. If you guys are in California, Dublin has a train station, and it's a 7-story parking garage, but it kind of like goes like this, like there's like dual routes that you can go down it. And if you go down the left, it goes 1 story at a time. And if you go down right, it goes down 2 stories at a time. So you can like check your speed really well. And then you get down to the bottom, elevator up to the top. It's like the best longboard. Tight. Yes.
Because like, you ever beef it?
Did I ever beef it? Let me show you this. That's a broken bone, bro. So I didn't.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
I forgot about this. Yeah, I remember you. Well, I wasn't there, but you told me. Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah, I messed up myself up hard. So it wasn't just in Dublin that we were skating. Like we were skating in San Francisco quite a lot, and the hills in San Francisco, especially like just north of the park. It's just really aggressive hills, and it was going down, and I was just like going way too fast, and I was trying to burn speed by sliding. That's kind of like what you do. And I was doing a backslide, so like my heels were going down the street, like kind of going backwards, and I got wheel bite or hit a pebble or something, and I just got thrown. So I'm like hurtling through the air, trying to kind of like spin around to like not land on my face or like on my head backwards. And I land on my arm in a certain way. And this is called a spiral fracture. So it's not like an impact or a crack. The arm was literally twisted behind me when I landed on it, twisted so much that it just
and it fractures in a spiral down the bone.
spiral. Yeah, spiral
Was
fracture.
it a full break or is it connected there?
Full broke, dude.
It was a full break.
Yeah.
That's your right arm.
This is my right arm. Yes.
Yeah, I
And
totally forgot about that.
they cannot put a cast on this. So I had my arm dangling in an arm brace for a little while. It was so wild. And my wife was gone at the time. She was on a trip and she had the kids. So I was alone in this apartment with like just like this busted ass arm, just being like, you know, like just like so lonely and sad and broken.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you had to have your hand in like a thing for a while.
Well, yeah, what happened is
in a type
they
of sling, but it wasn't a normal sling that you had. You had something like for your hand. I remember.
yeah, so they don't cast this. And they put it in a brace and they're like, Travis, we think we want to do surgery on it, but it's up to you. And I was like, of the mind, I was like, well, if you can avoid surgery, do that.
Yeah.
And I was like trying to let it heal, but it was just dangling and snapping all the time. Like when a bone is like dangling to heal, it like mends and then gets snapped a lot. Like it was so.
I know all about it. I have a very similar X-ray.
Yeah. So we did get surgery. I have a plate in my arm. I have 8 screws in my arm, and I couldn't find the X-ray of the screws. But the big news was, or like the big like story point there was like during the surgery, the doctor, like she said they found the radial nerve inside of the fracture.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Yeah.
Yes. So if the fracture had healed around the nerve, like it could have been very bad. So she said we teased it out. We teased out the nerve. And she says, in doing so, we may have bruised it or stretched it. And I'm like, what does that mean? And then I was like, well, yeah, what does that mean? And also, why can't I move my hand?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, that's what I'm talking about. And I was like, what? And she goes, and I was like, you mean I'm paralyzed? And literally, yeah. So I had my hand was paralyzed for 6 months. I had, physical therapy and stuff like that to try to get it back. And the way that works is that my hand, it couldn't lift it, but I could squeeze it, because like the certain nerve. So I had no lifting.
You can't pull it back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could squeeze. So in order to work, like I was like back to work in like within a week, I got this trackball with my thumb and I stuck it in my hand and I had this sling and I could do this. I could click and, use my thumb. And then I learned how to type with one hand really well. And for 6 months, I was just paralyzed in one hand. And eventually, like I had this thing, like the doctor rigged up this like rubber bands that would pull my fingers back so I could like lift and stuff. I looked like a robot arm. But it was like terrifying because nobody could give me a solid answer. And it was like one of the biggest brushes with mortality and kind of at a little bit of a younger age. I was like 24, 25.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not used to my body not working the way I expect it to. This is not cool. I'm very upset, and it was depressing because who knew if it would ever come back? They couldn't give me a straight answer. But luckily after 6 months, I was able to kind of do this. And I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Sexy time.
Yeah. And since we maxed out our insurance with the arm break, you kind of like
have a free baby.
That's it, right? Because like you like do the copay or not the copay, but whatever it is, like that you pay it so much. You have a max, and I maxed out how much I could pay. And I was like, the rest is on them. Let's do this. And so we had another baby. We had our little buddy here, and he's as cute as ever. He learned how to hang really early.
He's got quite a head of hair on it. He has like a lot of dark black hair.
Yeah.
You don't really see that often on a baby like that.
Yeah, man. Very proud of him. He's a good guy. And then around the same time as well, when we were living in California, I had this experience. I went to VidCon because I was working at a startup where, we like did analytics for video. And at that startup, we like went to promote our startup at VidCon. And then while I was at VidCon, I was like really like encountered the energy of like video creators and like that whole culture, you know, like all these people were, there's just the energy was just electric. And I remember, I sat down right on the floor in the showroom at the convention at VidCon, and registered the name DevTips for Designers. I was like, I'm going to make something. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a creator. And this kind of like, again, was one of those moments where like it just sets the tone for like the next few years. And it was just the spur of the moment thing. And so, yeah, I have a few assets here that are kind of fun. This, you know, people talking about DevTips and how it impacted them. This one here, I liked it. He was like, all his personality and the effort he puts into design is one of a kind. And like that's true about the early DevTips. It was like I like put so much into trying to, I don't know, I would say it's pretty extra, but a lot of people thought that it was sincere, that it was earnest, you know. And it's hard to be sincere on camera. It really is. Because you're always so aware.
You're a pretty enthusiastic guy.
Normally, yeah.
As it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Like,
so that's why it comes across more authentic than others, because you already are halfway there. You're already at that, almost there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Do you even sass, bro? Do you even sass, bro?
Do you even sass, bro?
Good one, Clark.
Yeah, DevTips was a huge, like, life-changing thing for me. It was definitely a second job. I put so much time into it, so much energy into it, and it really didn't, you know, wasn't like a financial kind of payout until much later. And even
but you started that before you started working at Google.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I documented my journey to Google through DevTips. I recorded, you know, I would like record my interviews. Like I would like have a headphone in and then just be like selfie recording it, and then I wouldn't like publish those, but I would like review them and learn about them. And like, dude, when you're documenting yourself, like doing vlogs or doing like, you know, even tutorials and stuff, it's kind of like what it's kind of what Dave was saying about, is like having that thing, having like an artifact that lives on. You can review them, you can understand them, you can learn a lot about yourself. This is something that we talked about when you started editing DevTips, right? Like you edited an episode and we were commenting together, like having to go and listen to yourself talk is so informative. Right. And I did that. So I recorded myself getting the interviews, and then I would like make videos like, here's how you should do an interview, and here's what I learned from my mistakes, you know. But anyway, after DevTips, everybody here in the DevTips channel, they probably know how that story went. We sold the channel to Fun Function, and it was a good relief. But after that, I was kind of directionless, but I still had that need to create, and so I leaned into music. So you can see even behind me, I have all these synthesizers and drum machines. There's my guitar, and I explained earlier in this chat, like, you know, music has always been a part of my life. And so I taught myself how to play drum machines and stuff. Actually, this is
Hi, my name is Travis, and I've been
playing
music using things like
the audio's coming
and this and this
it works.
and this
works.
and this and this and this.
Yeah.
And that too.
I used
and
to
also
love these videos.
that. These are my little music boxes, and I've got a new YouTube channel all about.
Dude,
Hi, my name is Travis.
What's the last one that you published?
I still publish every now and then. The last one that I published it's right here. It's called I Still Love You. And it was done about a year ago, maybe less. And my life has gotten a lot of chaos lately in terms of just like my workload. And I'm also like, just everything has been crazy. So it's been hard to give this channel the amount of attention that I did at one time in those projects, because like every time I would record, you know, a song, like there's like goes so much in the background, right? Like learning to play a new song, learning like, you know, basically, you know, writing a new song and learning how to perform it and stuff. And some of these instruments, particularly this one, this modular synthesizer here, it is a new instrument every time you program it, like the way that you set it up, like the, you know, the flow of the sound and the channel. flow is it can be very complicated. And so because I don't have a lot of time to spare on it, and also sidetracked by other projects, I haven't like been as publishing as regularly at it as on that channel, but I still own it and I still do publish to it. And most of the music that I do now is like therapeutic. Like I play my guitar every day and I play piano every day. In fact, I think I have a slide about that, whatever. But what I would say about this channel though, is that I still think that the stuff that I did back then was really good and really
Yeah, it is all
impressive.
good.
Thank you. It's impressive to me when I'll look back and I'll watch it and I'll be like, damn, bro. Like,
It
do
is
you ever
nice
do that?
to
Like look at your old
back.
stuff and be like, yes.
Yeah, especially when it comes to music, because like you look back and you're like, oh, actually, it was dope. Like,
It was dope.
you
Yeah.
know, sometimes in the moment you get all up in your head and you just don't appreciate it for what it is until you have enough space between it and yourself, and you can look back as if somebody else created it, and you're like, oh, if somebody else made this, I would think it was dope, but at the time I made it, so it was just mediocre to me for some reason.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
You know?
That's true. Like you don't give yourself enough space to think you're dope during the time. I'm sure like if I look back on the things I'm creating now and I'm always like insecure about, I'm like, damn, I was like really firing, you know?
I mean, it's still the same. I'm a much bigger critic to myself. I mean, even with design, like I'll like
Yeah.
look at something that inspires me and make something, and to me, I'm like, oh, it's not as good as that. But then like
Yeah.
way later, I'll be going through a hard drive and I'll see some of experiments. I'm like, oh, that looked awesome. Actually, I don't know why it was.
Yeah.
It came out fine, but yeah, we
It's
get
good
up in
to
our
do
own
that.
heads too much. Yeah.
It's good to go back and just be like, yeah, that was badass. Like I'm proud of that, you know? And it's like, there's things that like I did musically, you know, like technique wise, like that, like this one here, I don't know if you can see it, this 404, this is
The
like
Roland.
a sampler machine. Yeah. Like there's like so much technique, right? Like you have to learn the patterns, learn the thing, timing, you know, like getting the filters and the effects right. A lot goes into it, like a lot of rehearsal. And like sometimes I watch them and I'm like, whoa, that's fire. Like, how did you do that? Like, I couldn't do that today. You know, like I don't know if I could repeat that.
Yeah.
Manuel says, I really enjoyed that channel. I remember watching those videos and seeing your watercolor journey on other social platforms. Yeah, after DevTips. Yeah, watercolor is not represented in this presentation, but that was definitely a part of it as well. Getting back into like my, you know, painting and doing that stuff. So I do have a little bit of work to share from my professional life. So this is some Google work that's already been published and I can share it. I'll show you some blurry stuff later on that's still under lockdown. But yeah, so during that time of DevTips, as I said, like I joined Google and I documented like the whole hiring journey and experience. Like what did I do for my design challenge and what I thought about it. Actually, now that I own DevTips again, I can probably find that, because I made a video for my design challenge and I documented it as a video and I sent them a private link. I could probably find that.
Yeah, I remember that. It's probably on your website still.
I never published it because it was like under, you know, whatever, confidentiality and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But this stuff is
I know
public.
you did publish some stuff to your old travisnelson.com website.
Yeah. Yeah, I could look into that.
Yeah.
I think that's what's so fun about being a creative person, is that you just have this legacy of things to look back on and kind of learn about.
That's a secret, right? I mean, that's how you know the real ones. They leave a trail of bodies in their path. And that's what that is, evidence of your presence, evidence of your work.
Yeah. There's a whole denial of death angle right here that we could go into. But I see that we're at an hour for this live
Seeking
stream.
immortality through your work.
Yeah. Like I want to live forever, so therefore I'm going to make a website.
No, everything disappears and is forgotten eventually. So
someone,
enjoy it now.
A stranger will live in your house in 20 years. Yeah.
So enjoy your house now.
So this is some work samples from my time at Google Search. And I worked at Google Search in an era which, looking back now, was a really great era. Like it was a great time for search as a whole. It was a great time for me. It was a great time for like the people that I met there. Still good friends with a lot of them. But here's a few projects that I'm proud of. starting here. This is the first thing I ever did. And it's the, I think it's still today, if you Google internet speed.
Speed test.
Yeah, I designed that. And
That's so funny. I use
yeah.
that all the time. Yeah.
Do you? Oh, I love to hear that. Like, it's a kind of a universal one. And like, it was so funny. It was like right when I joined, they were like, Travis, do this. And I had no idea what I was doing. And like the product manager had just come back from leave, and he was like, just do it. Like nobody cared about it. It was like this kind of throwaway work. And like now I'm still like the most proud of it. Like sometimes that's how it is too. Like the things that you like just do instinctively or quickly or don't have like the time to like give a big process to, those things sometimes are very impactful because you just trust yourself, right? You just do it. I
was journaling last night and thinking about like, what are my hangups when it comes to finishing stuff, right? And I often notice that the more potential something has, or the clearer vision I have in my head for it, the harder it is to get done. Right. Because you want it to live up to that vision. And but most of the best stuff that I've done, it was run and gun. Right. And whether it's music production, design, development, video production, whatever it is, when I'm run and gun, when I'm in that mindset, when it's run and gun, you just turn out better stuff because you have to make quicker decisions and you have to say, and I was thinking last night that when you have a vision of the way something should be, any kind of project or whatever, that's a fantasy. And even though it seems complete in your head, it's always incomplete until it becomes real. So it's incomplete as long as it lives in your head. And I was just kind of putting myself in the mindset of like, okay, well, that fantasy is the direction, and then you just run and gun towards it, get it done and move on. Like that last track and video that I published, that song took a long time to finish producing because it just slapped right away. It came together so well. It was, and I there was so much potential, and I was like, oh, I got to write a B section that's better, as good as the A section, and finally I was like, you know what? Screw it. We'll put a bridge and then back to chorus and just be done with it. And I love it. It's fine. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of like the throwaway stuff, often it ends up being like, oh, I stuck the landing on that without even trying. Nice.
Yeah. I think it's because you're trusting yourself and you're not putting too much judgment on it. You're like, oh, this doesn't have to be perfect right now. I'll probably do another version later. Yeah. Oftentimes like my first things are the best. Yeah. And then I'll iterate because somebody else is asking or because I want to see something else and new. But a lot of the times it's just like that first intuition
often makes it worse. If you start tweaking with it and then you're done, right?
Yeah.
The perfect
is the enemy of good. You've heard that. Yeah. Do what you do and it will be great. That's great advice, Clark. Thanks for chiming in there, bud.
And I'm trying to practice that. Like I do get up in my head and like I have these grand visions for things that are too grand to actually do. You know what I mean? Like I'm overly ambitious, and I think we all have that, right? If a client is like, oh, here's what I want, and you're like, oh yeah, no problem, and then you start digging in, you're like, oh, this is actually going to take a lot longer. Like you just think things are going to go faster than they do. You know, it's like we're all over ambitious in our heads. Yeah. So it's very hard to meet that level of grand fantasy that's in your head, and you just can't,
Yeah, I think
that is the enemy of good. That's, that's a really good quote.
Perfect. What's nice about the run and gun modality that you're talking about is that you're making decisions on the fly. You're not trying to meet the expectations of something. Yes. Yeah.
And so the state of flow, right? It's when earlier we were talking about the emotional thing that you were kind of dealing with, and those executive functions getting in the way. Yeah. It's the same thing with everything, right? Yeah. So like that, but that state of flow is when those executive functions get out of the way.
They calm down, right?
You're only able to do that with a task that is sufficiently complex enough, and you are sufficiently trained enough to get into the state of flow. Totally. Right? So like what's good about run and gun is it's not only that it makes you make fast decisions, but it makes you rely on what you know works if you're a professional. Yeah. If you're like, oh, I'm a professional, I know this works, boom, done, move on. Yeah. You don't think about it, and you kind of just rely on what you know works. And that is such a good place to be in, and it's a quicker way to go into the state of flow. I'm really happy that we're talking about this because I was like up late journaling, thinking about this, and like outlining the projects that I'm working on now, and resolving myself to run and gun everything. Everything's run and gun now. There's no reason to be perfect. Just get it out, you know? Be
Yeah.
prolific. Don't be
Prolific.
perfect. Be prolific. Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. We should make a t-shirt. Be prolific, not perfect. I like that. All right, just what these other projects are here. So at Google Search, I also was the UX lead for events. So when you search, like there's Olympics is a big one that's showcased in these designs here, but it's kind of all the events. We did Oscars, we did Grammys as big events, but it also was like, the what is it called? The what is it when everybody shows up in the neighborhood to get food?
When everybody shows up in the neighborhood to get food?
I just lost the word. I don't know what it's called in English.
Block party? When everyone shows up in the
neighborhood to get food.
Wait, hold on.
Market.
You said you don't know what it's in English. What language do you know?
I'm monolingual. I don't know. I know how to do HTML and CSS, but but no, it's like a market, a farmer's market.
Oh, farmer's market.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. So like it's like big like the Oscars and small like the movie times or the farmer's market. Like I was leader of events as well. All those scales of events, but that included crisis events. So this is like stuff that I was like really, really proud of at the time, where like we covered like earthquakes, fires, floods, hurricanes, and try to help provide people who were in those situations tools inside of Google search to help them navigate those situations. So if you ever had an earthquake and then you Google earthquake near me and it gives you like the little seismograph and things like that, that was all the work that our team did. And I was the leader of UX with, and including this one, which was called all of a sudden, I'm nervous now because I forgot the word and now I'm forgetting all of the words, but also like self-harm and stuff like that, like searching
suicide prevention stuff.
Yeah. So
it says it right there. Yeah. National Suicide Prevention.
Yeah. And I was really sad because this illustration was created by this really, really talented designer who I've kind of a lot of artifacts up here in my bookshelf. This illustrator here, who she did so many great things. We worked together, but this illustration in our user experience research, somebody was like, oh, I don't want to have cartoons when I'm sad. And so like it never got published. So I'm excited to show it here.
Really?
Yeah. And I love
just because of that, because of the illustration?
Dude, a bad UXR experience, some research, and if somebody comes back and says, oh, I don't like it, like it can kill your design at Google. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But
that
was a huge, I want to say this though, that whole work stream was a huge thing for me because it was when I was going through my faith crisis and my identity crisis, and also kind of the time where I stopped doing DevTips. So like so much, emotional things were shifting for me and how I saw myself. I was no longer like leading a channel where everybody would show up and say, oh, Travis, good job. And I was like renegotiating my relationship with God and kind of how I see myself as a spiritual person, and renegotiating who I was as an identity, and working on something that was like culturally impactful, maybe even saving lives or helping people to navigate crisis and stress situations, was like something that like I grabbed onto as like a what's it called, like a life preserver.
Yeah.
And it really helped me to think like, okay, even though I don't know who I am, maybe I'm good, like that. Yeah.
I was going to say about this stuff, out of all of the stuff that goes on at Google and all the different stuff, you are lucky to have worked on stuff that actually does good.
Yeah.
Right? Because this stuff like the emergency interfaces for earthquakes, like all of that is like, those are actually like good for humanity products, which is nice to be able to work on that stuff.
Yeah. And I really, when the opportunity came to, it's kind of funny, like looking back on it now, like how I went in that direction intentionally, because I was designing other things. And then this product manager, Pete, whom I love, and we're still friends, he comes out and we go surfing together. He was walking by and he was like, hey, do you know who does this? And I was like, I will do this. Come here. No, come here. And like, we sat down and I'm not allocated to this. Nobody's asking me to do this, but like, I'm going to be the designer on this. I'm going to do this. I want that. And then I went to my manager and I was like, yeah, I'm doing this now. And then he was like, really? And I was like, yes.
You're like, if you don't let me, I'm going to kill myself.
Jeez.
Too far?
Went for it. No, it's okay. No, I love you, Max. But it was like, yeah, at the time, like super important for me to feel like I was consequential in some way, because like my whole identity was like just rocking and shaking, you know. Dave says, sometimes holding yourself to high standards, this is the conversation we were talking about earlier, could be mentally draining. So the rule is to give yourself a break. Too true. All right. Also around that time, I'm really proud of this project, because I was doing DevTips and because I was doing another podcast and other productions, right? Like I was doing an internal podcast and I was speaking quite a lot, traveling and doing training and stuff, going on Adobe's Livestream quite a number of times. The opportunity came to host Google's design podcast. So this was the podcast that Google was publishing publicly. It's called the Google Method. And it's still live. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on, Apple and all that. But there's there's a number of episodes. I was the host, and I would go around Google and find people who are doing interesting projects, and I would talk to them about their designs, about their process, about their method. And it was such a great experience for me. I'm very, very proud of that experience. And in fact, it kind of culminated in this talk that I gave at the WWW Awards, like the awards, which was like one of the biggest talks that I had given. It was like over 900 people in the space. It was at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco. And I shared, 5 things that I learned hosting Google's podcast. And it's kind of like a great, cap on that whole project.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember I watched that video back when it was published. But are you guys still doing that?
No, the podcast was reorged. So in kind of business speak, that means like the person who was like, the VP who liked it and who would say, yes, you can do this. That person did another job, and the new person came in and was like, I don't know what this is. It doesn't align with my goals right now, and just kind of like died. Yeah. And I like they took away my editor, and I was like, fine, I'll edit. They like, we don't have the budget for that. They took away my producer, and I was like, fine, I'll produce it. So like, but it was cool. Like at its height, we had a crew. Like it was so fun. I'd show up, and I had my producer Barbara, and she'd be like, hey, these are people we're interested in. What do you think about these? And I'd be like, yeah, can you set up this meeting? And the editor would be like, hey, we got this thing here. I'm thinking this. And I'm like, yeah, well, what if we do? It was like super creative. Everybody, was just like firing. Like everybody was just, I don't know. It was just such a great crew. Yeah. I'm really proud of this project.
I have a question. I want to go back because you were saying that that one project was scrapped because of the illustration, and you said that bad UX research or like a feedback will kill a design or something.
Yeah, like negative feedback.
Yeah, and I spent a lot of time working with startups, right, helping them build their companies and stuff, and a lot of them are like, oh, we have to get to market early to find market fit and get feedback, and they're essentially letting the crowd build their product for them, and I get that if you maybe don't know what you're doing or you're kind of fishing, right? But like if you have a clear vision of what you want to do, like the best product is a product that you see and then you realize that you need it all along, right? And earlier you when we were talking about the talk we had, you said that I was good at saying stuff that's just under the surface. Yeah. Maybe it's not articulated yet, but I think any good product development or brand, that's what they need to do. They need to say, like even Google at the beginning, the world didn't know they needed internet search. Now the world needs it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so funny. Like, how do you feel about product development driven, like feedback driven product development versus like having a vision for something? And even if people don't realize they want it, once they see it and use it and get used to it, then they'll realize they needed it all along. And that for me is the best product development, the best type of design. Yeah. And unfortunately, when it is groundbreaking or disruptive or whatever, you're going to get a lot of negative feedback, especially at the beginning. And unfortunately, in a company like Google, which was disruptive, and I hope they still are in areas, but everything becomes corporate, everything gets big. Yeah. give me some feedback here. How do you feel about like that kind of feedback driven product development versus
Yeah.
being confident in what you're doing and just doing it? And if people are like, I don't like the way this looks, you kind of just say you will, or it's not for you.
Well, specifically the feedback this lady said, cartoons are, she called it a cartoon. It was an illustration. She called it a cartoon. She said, cartoons are a joke and my depression is not a joke. So it was like really like, but
okay, that one's a little specific, but like
yeah,
in general,
no.
I mean,
But I'll generalize here. Yeah. So what we're talking about is risk tolerance for big companies versus startups. And yeah, I would work at Google for 8 years now. And so I've kind of but before that I was all in startups, right? So the risk tolerance for a product that nobody's heard about and you're trying to get market awareness even before market saturation, there's totally a difference between that and Google search, which is serving billions of people. And then also that particular product, like self-harm, is like a critical one, right? It's critical for our users. You don't want to mess that up.
Thin ice with something like that.
Yes. And also it's thin ice in it's kind of like it's in terms of like media landscape, like PR. Like if we show up with like a hokey dokey thing, and they're like
that subject matter, you have to be careful. You're walking on eggshells there.
Salim says 8 years. Wow, it's like yesterday. Yeah, that means that you were there with the journey, buddy. I appreciate you showing up today.
What's up, Salim?
You. Yeah, it feels like
welcome.
It feels like yesterday too. I agree with that. But yeah,
first, now I understand that it was certain products, but you would think that Google would be actually in a better position to experiment. Obviously not with a product like that. That's a little different. But like just in general to kind of be a little bit more disruptive and do more like vision-led product development rather than feedback-led product development.
Yeah.
And because a lot of startups are scared. They like a lot of the startups that I've worked with, they don't want to do anything disruptive. They want it to look like something that's already out there.
Yeah.
They don't want to, they're afraid, a lot of them, because they don't have the money, they don't have the time. It's, you know what I'm saying? They can't afford that risk, especially at early stage startup or something. So they have to kind of, play it safe, and a lot of them are scared to do otherwise. But it's so interesting because especially now it's 2024 and the world that all of us today who are alive grew up in was disruptive tech, disruptive startups, right? Coming and changing things. But it seems like nothing's disruptive anymore, right? People are scared. Google's corporate, startups are scared. Like, working with a lot of the startups that I worked with, I had several of them explicitly be like, we don't care about design. We don't want it to look good. It needs to be safe. It needs to look like it needs to look like our competitive landscape. And to me, I'm like, but you're gonna drown in a sea of mediocrity. Like you're not gonna stick out. And most of those never succeeded. Most of these startups that I'm talking about didn't stick out. They didn't succeed.
That's right.
So how do you feel about those approaches? And is it like that everywhere at Google because it's so corporate, or?
Yeah. So I think it's helpful to think about Google as a group of a bunch of different kingdoms and companies, all melded under the big G. So like you could have a total different experience at Maps or Workspace or Photos than I did at Search. So it's hard to kind of like really zero in on things. But on the meta, I would say that, there is times of peace and times of war. And sometimes where you want to kind of like lean into standardization and lean into kind of getting everybody singing from the same sheet, kind of like, are we all in the same group here? And then there's some times where you're moving fast and breaking things, right? And so like, I would say currently Google is in a time of war. There's a lot of new innovation. I'm working, we can talk about my work that I do now at YouTube Music, but I'm working a lot with like AI and all these like features that like were really hard to convince people to do before, like 2 years ago. And now it's like Travis, can you do this? And I'm like, yes, I've been wanting, like I've been asking for this, So it is an interesting thing. Like companies, like people, go through different phases. And yeah.
Well, I want to circle back to something you said earlier, a phrase that I hate, and it's move fast and break things.
That's a Facebook. Yeah.
Zuckerberg said that. And I hate that quote. But here's the thing. When startups were like in that spirit, like we're going to be disruptive, all the CEO guys would quote that. Oh, move fast and break stuff. And I hated that because I'm a fan of move swiftly and make things.
Ooh.
There's no reason to move quick and break things. Walk down the hill slowly, move swiftly and make things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that mindset is what caused a lot of startups to fail. Because they're like, oh, just break things, move fast, break things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it caused them. And I think that in a response to that, everyone started being a little bit more safe because they're afraid that move fast, break things is going to literally break things or be haphazard.
It's a pendulum. You won't hear that phrase much around Silicon Valley now.
I hope
for
not.
sure.
I hate that phrase.
No. It bit everybody
Yeah.
But I would say, like, just to generally answer your question, like, it's going to be a mix, and it'll show up in different ways too. Like, maybe you have a feature that you are having given a lot of leeway to try new things, but on whole, your project or your team or your product needs to kind of hit the baselines along the way, So during the big old pandemic, we all had to work from home, and I got the fortune of moving to another state. So I left California, went to Utah, and that was new for me, man. Like, big old open spaces. I lived in a little farm town, and I talked about how my parents were selling the house that I grew up in. So the way that it worked out is, like, they had purchased this retirement house. It's like this farmhouse kind of in this little rural town of Utah. And we were like, you're going to move to Utah? And then like, they weren't moving in it yet. And pandemic happened. And I was like, hey, can I go like park there for a little bit? And so for a year, I took my family out to the farm, and our neighbors were goats, and it was literally? Literally. Yeah. And deer would be in our yard all the time. Like, I have a lot of funny memories of just watching deer freak out as I step onto the porch, just surrounded by nature and fresh air. Okay, so I like to play a game with people when I tell them the town. I like to start with my town and then go bigger and bigger, next bigger town until you know it. So are you familiar with Utah a little bit?
I've been there. My band played a show in, I think, St. George, or some town. I've been in Utah. I've been to
St.
Utah
George.
before.
Yeah, okay. So here, we'll play the game
anything.
if you want.
I've been to Salt Lake. I played a show there.
Okay.
I've been to St. George and maybe some other towns somewhere.
Well, maybe I won't like dox my parents where they live, but like, it was like this really small farm town in Utah, and like, it literally had like 6 streets and none of them were paved. The cultural center of the whole town was the post office. You'd go and be like, hey, what's up, lady? And she'd give you your mail. She would always chastise me for not labeling things correctly. But it was cool. Neighbors would show up with like huge like squash, and they'd be like, oh, do you want this? I'm like, yes. So this is a point from Dave. Startups were about being first to the scene, so moving fast and all that. Thanks, Dave, for your insights there. Okay, so I talked about the Grand Canyon earlier. So I took my own little family, like a different family, to a different canyon. But like this, like, I would go to the mountains and have visions. Such a fun time.
And have visions?
Yeah, we'll talk about that off screen. But it's like a really, really great time. I started riding my bike everywhere, just like I don't know. There's just a feeling of breathing in crisp, cool mountain air. It's unreplicatable, and really appreciate. Yes. Also around that time, like, we were in lockdown in the pandemic, so we had like a lot of dance parties at our house. There's my kids getting lit, and we found this piano. I mean, didn't find it. It was just in the house, and nobody played it. And so I was like, yeah, I want to play piano. So I learned how to play, taught myself how to play. And when I moved from that house to our next location, I packed the piano, this upright piano.
The piano?
I stole the piano. I was like, Mom, I'm taking the piano. And she was like, nobody plays it. And I'm like, yeah, it's gone.
Nice.
So I play it now, still in my house that I have today. We still like lug it around.
A good upright piano is a nice thing to have in a home.
It's like, yeah, it's great. It's there. It's too big to ignore, so you have to sit down and play it. You know, like if it was a keyboard, it could probably be shoved in a closet somewhere and be forgotten. But
Yeah,
like,
a keyboard, you got to plug it in, maybe put on headphones.
right?
Here, you just
Yeah.
start banging on it, and it's good to go. Yeah.
This is like a principle that I love that I learned from my wife. Like, she took this guitar and hung it on a wall, and when she did that, that's when my guitar journey really started, because it was accessible. Like, if you have your instruments accessible, not in a case under the bed or in a closet, you have them out. If they're unavoidable, you have to move around them
out all the time on the.
That's it. That's how you're gonna.
A few more right here. Yeah.
Right, or else it's too much. There's too much resistance. Yeah. So anyhow, piano. Now I play every day. Love it. Moving on. Also, about this time I got into modular synthesis. So I had been doing beatboxes and synthesizers, but modular was a whole journey. And during the during the pandemic, I got into it because it's like this crazy combination of like math and like problem solving and music. So like it's a lot of fun. Here's a demo of a little jam.
Is every sound coming from this?
Yeah, there's like, I think in the end, like maybe turn this down a little bit.
What about that vocal? It sounded like a that vocal sample. Is that coming from the synth?
That's right. Yeah, I like this part.
Go off, King.
All right, I'll pause it. This is really fun. So there's a
go off, King.
Yeah, boy.
Tight.
All of the I think this rack here has maybe 7 or so voices that it can play concurrently, and you have to like and like you see the hands are like just jumping around. You're managing everything through these knobs and wires, and like it's just like your brain is like fully engaged with this machine, trying to manipulate it, time it out, turn this thing down, turn this thing up, sort these sounds out all at once. And it's like, it's such a handful. But when you're in the pocket, it's so good. It feels so cool. And
it looks fun. Yeah. I've always wanted to get into modular synthesis, but
thanks, Clark.
Takes up too much space.
It does. Yeah.
And you need like space for it.
And the way it works is that like each of these wires, they connect each of like the nodes, right, of like the whole synthesizer. So like connecting the oscillator to the filter, to the effects panel, to the mixer. And if you rewire it, like what's called a patch, if you take the patch and repatch it, it's essentially a different instrument.
It's a whole new. Yeah.
You have to learn it. So like each song was repatched.
An LFO to a whole different oscillator, and it changes. Yeah,
totally. So
I mean, I play with synths, but they're all soft synths. Ableton, like software synthesis, but it's it emulates the same thing. And there's a lot of them, especially like the Moog software, where you do take out the chord virtually.
You flip it around in virtual.
Yeah. Like Reason was a DAW back in the day.
Reason,
and that was
so
the coolest
awesome.
thing about Reason. You would hit tab on the keyboard and it would flip, and you would move the cables between the modules. It was a very fun program.
So fun. Yeah, because you feel like you're like doing work.
Did you ever play with Reason?
Reason's dope. I have it on my iPad and also on my desktop. Okay, so during this time, I blurred this stuff out because this is kind of like proprietary stuff. These are all like different presentations. No, these are just presentations that I'm not permitted to share. But I moved from Google search to YouTube Music. So again, it's having these themes of music coming in, design, and like I kind of like feel like my life recycles on a few themes. Skateboards, punk, skateboards, punk music, design, just keeps going like this. Yeah. So there's not much to talk about here on the screen because you can't see it, but like essentially my design game leveled up quite a lot at YouTube Music. The the size of the team is a lot smaller than Google Search. Google Search is one of the bigger teams.
Mm-hmm.
So smaller, more focused. I had a lot of great mentors, a lot of great managers. And just like, I'm really, really confident about my design skills now, in ways that I never really was at my other locations. I wish I could show you this.
Because I'm a little unclear on what YouTube Music is. I know there's a separate app, which I pay for premium, so I downloaded the app, but I never use it. Is it just the UI for that app? Because like through the desktop, there's not really like, when I publish my music through DistroKid, it connects with YouTube Music, but it publishes them as releases, and then I can't like edit them, and they're separate from my YouTube channel videos.
Yeah,
so
this is,
I don't really understand the YouTube Music connection, and I am curious, like, what are you designing?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Okay, so there is a desktop interface.
Yeah. So you can't see the URL bar, but there's youtube.com, and then there's music.youtube.com. And this is essentially a music streaming service, like a Spotify competitor, you might say.
Okay, and you designed all this?
No, I'm a designer on the team.
Okay.
I didn't design
it
all
does
of this.
look nice. It looks nice and clean. More so than Spotify. I hate Spotify's UI.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Spotify's UI.
I'm not trying to misrepresent anybody on whatever, but I do tell my kids, because they Spotify, and I go, Spotify is designed for dorks, right?
It sucks. I don't know how it got.
And they're like, "Are you calling me a dork, Dad?" And I'm like, "No, I'm saying Spotify is designed for dorks, and if you want to use it, that's your choice."
Yeah, I remember Apple Music. That was the jam, and SoundCloud, obviously. And SoundCloud was great if you're a music producer because they had the API. So I would build music players that would stream it from the SoundCloud API on my site and use SoundCloud kind of like a CMS, right, for managing, which their API, it's dog shit now. And I don't know what's going on with SoundCloud, to be honest with you. But everybody was using Spotify, and I never liked Spotify because it was so closed off. There was no API, like you can't stream from it. You can't really share. You can share like a 30-second preview. And of course, eventually, everyone's on Spotify, so I ended up caving. And after having it for years, it's like, and exactly, Dave. This podcast searches suck, and the UI, I was like, why is this so popular? But all the music's there, and that's why, because all the music's there, and it's a low monthly fee, or it used to be a low monthly fee.
I'm really like, I don't want to say the wrong things here. Like, we're all in this kind of industry together, and there's a lot of people at Spotify that I like, and they're good. Yeah, they're talented people, but I am proud of the product that we make at YouTube Music. Yeah. I feel like
it looks nicer.
It's really good. Yeah.
But I wish it was more obvious that it was there.
Let's talk about YouTube Music.
I don't think a lot of people know about it. Or like, no,
yeah, you're right, dude. Well, Spotify puts like X millions into advertising, and YouTube Music kind of like doesn't.
Yeah,
we grow organically because we're associated with YouTube and YouTube Premium, but we have, again, I don't even know if, like, what I can share, but we passed X number of paid subscribers to our app, and we're very happy.
Can people subscribe directly to that, or is it all just premium? It's all rolled up into one thing?
I don't know. There's different, like, you can do a family plan, you can do a premium plan, and I think like it depends on your market. Like, maybe if you live in a different.
I pay for YouTube Premium. If I could end Spotify and just use one, that'd be great.
Yeah,
I have all my playlists on. I'm kind of vendor locked in is very difficult.
Oh, yeah. There are services to get out of Spotify. This one here.
Because I'm guessing
you can pay $3 and move all your playlists over to YouTube Music.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, but this is a subscription also?
Well, yeah, I don't know why you would do it once. Why would you have
to pay monthly to do it once? Yeah.
Well, I think because if you have multiple, this is their pitch. Like, if you have multiple services, you can manage them all from one place. But literally, if you're doing a transfer, it's like, you don't need a subscription. Just do it once. So it's $3.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Just transfer your music, all of it at one time, whatever. Or you could just do it for free and transfer your playlist one by one, and then you're not locked into Spotify anymore.
Interesting.
Yo,
I definitely want to pick your brain more about.
We'll talk about
API integration, because YouTube's API is obviously better than Spotify's.
Yeah.
Like, if you have access to all the content through the single API, that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely have like a very specific workflow as a music creator who's on these platforms. But in terms of just like it being a streaming service, and that's kind of like what in fact, I'll talk about I just want to finish this. So Goat Story. What is Goat Story? This has been on the screen for a little bit.
Tell us about the goats, Travis.
This is
so
me and Morgan.
I will have to say goats
So
because that actually does happen.
Yeah. So this is Morgan.
Who is Morgan? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you about Morgan. Morgan is a designer that I work with at YouTube Music. She's incredible. She's an incredibly talented designer, and she and I started a podcast as well. This is like a like I'm like a repeat offender in this type of thing. Meet somebody cool, do a podcast together. So she and I started this internal podcast. We just wanted to get to know the rest of the team, and so we'd interview them. This is our test interview, but I was telling the story about
oh no, I don't want this goat to
where
get
a
out
goat
and
was
be my
escaping as I was
dog.
taking the
So I'm
kids to
like,
the
okay,
park.
Come on, kids, let's leave. Like, I don't want to like get caught goating around. And they're still standing there. And then the goat, I noticed, is out up to its hips, like its shoulders are through the gate now.
So anyway, we took our podcast and we made it public now. So it's no longer just an internal at YouTube podcast. So I've had like 3 or 4 podcasts that are internal and have not gone public, but this one is now. It's called Soundbite. Did you? Sorry,
Yeah.
I hid that too quickly. Ayahuasca, Utah Goat Visions. Nice, Clark.
Travis is on a spiritual journey out there.
That's what I'm saying. Having like a lot of Utah visions. So yeah, I was just telling Morgan about this story about goats, but like you can see in the sidebar, we have a lot of other interviews with other people who are YouTube music designers. And we talk mostly, it's like personal stories about their lives, not too much about the work, but we share these stories, and we're getting into our 3rd season soon. And so shout out to Morgan, shout out to Soundbite, which is the podcast. You can go to Soundbite Podcast on YouTube and take a look.
Subscribe to it now.
Yo, subscribers. It's like a stealth launch. Like nobody really knows about it. We haven't been talking about it publicly too much.
I'm one of your closest friends. I've only heard you barely mention something once, and this is the first time I've really heard about it. So you should probably tell people about it.
Well, we're gearing up for our 3rd season. So the first 2 seasons were internal, and then we're just like doing our prep work for our 3rd season. And then as we launch our 3rd season, I'll probably talk more about it here and whatever.
Okay.
But it's going to be
so
a lot of
me,
fun. Sorry, how do I do the
Soundbite.
next? There we go.
Yeah, I'm looking forward on YouTube.
Yeah, Soundbite.
But it doesn't show up.
Soundbite Podcast, I think, is the name of the YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's what I searched for. I see Zach's Soundbites, podcast sound effects.
Damn it, Zach. We're going to get the SEO. We'll get the SEO soon.
If you put Soundbite together, it doesn't show up as 2 words. It's not showing up.
I think the @ name is @Soundbite Podcast.
Okay, I'm gonna try that.
So yeah,
That's an
then
interesting thing.
filter the search results for channels or whatever.
There it is. I found you.
Yo.
I just subscribed. Yeah,
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, you are what is the word?
Cool.
You are cool.
Handsome.
You also are addicted to podcasting. I think.
Well, I am. Dude, I think that podcasting is one of the most sincere forms of communication. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Because I have discovered that when you stick a microphone in front of somebody's face, they really think about what they're saying. They really consider their words. And when they do that, you have this communication that is intentional, that's not distracted. People are like
Active listeners, yeah.
active. Yes. And that's so hard to come by in the modern life, right? Everybody's either driving or on their phone. I don't know what they're doing, but you know what I'm saying? So sometimes people can get in their head and sometimes people get in their head and they get a little nervous, and that can be a thing. But generally speaking, put a microphone in front of somebody, and you will have a very intentional, very communicative experience.
Yeah,
and
I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on. So while we were living in Utah, I was convinced to take a vacation, which for me, I think I've been on like 3 vacations in my life. And I never expected in my life ever to visit Hawaii. It seemed like this crazy place that I'll never go. I remember I'm just a little dirt kid from Las Vegas. Like I never could.
You keep calling yourself that. This is a new thing.
I'm a little dirt boy.
We're calling you Dirt Boy from
I
now
grew up
on.
in the alleys. Yeah. Like the reason I never get sick is because I just played in the garbage in Las Vegas all the time. I have a great immune system. So we took a vacation to Hawaii, and then I was like, what is this place? Everything felt like the energy here in Hawaii I've never felt it before.
Yeah.
It felt so natural, so real, so connected to kind of like the vibrations of the earth. And I was like, I kind of want to do everything I can to stay here. And so we organized our lives, quickly reorganized our lives. So we moved to Hawaii. We rented a house while we were on vacation. I was like, babe, talking to my wife, if we don't lock in a house, like while we're here, like visiting, we'll never come back. And so it was like one of those things like where you have to take the first steps, not knowing how it's going to end.
Yeah. You got to dive in the pool.
That's
you're not
right.
gonna get in. Yeah.
Dave says, I've been podcasting for years on technology, and to this day, it's still intimidating. As to make sure that I'm saying the right things and articulating correctly. Sure, dude. I get stumbles all the time. Like I'll get hung up. And then this is the thing too, Max, and you can support what I'm saying here. Like when we hang up off the, stop recording, even if it's not live, just hanging up, like, then you still have the mic. Sometimes the best stuff comes right after you stop recording,
when you hit stop or before we record.
Yeah. Cause you're in that vibe, and like the things are no longer high, high
almost
risk,
every time, when we end it, we end up talking for like another hour on accident. We're like, okay, we got to go. But then we start a conversation and then we're like, we should have probably been recording that. That was a great conversation.
Yeah. I just want to say to everybody who stuck around for like an hour and 50 minutes for this live stream, like that's awesome. We have like 9 concurrent viewers in the thing. Dave, Salim, Clark, you guys are lighting up the chat rooms. This is cool. I would like to coin, what does it say? I would like to coin that as a post-clarity jibber jabber. I like that.
There's a clarity afterwards.
Yeah, I like it. Thanks, Clark. Okay, so Hawaii, what has that been like for me? First of all, I turned 40, and and I never ever thought I would.
Picture of you I've ever seen.
As I was turning 40, my wife suggested I run a 10K. And as I said, like I've been skateboarding and bicycling my whole life, but running has never been something I've been into. My wife is a runner though. She's a marathoner, half marathoner. She's done an ultra marathon. She ran 40 miles through the Zion in Utah. Mm-hmm. She's really, really intense. She's also like, what is it called? Triathlete, all these things. She's also a kickboxer.
Yeah, she's martial arts.
Muay Thai. Yeah, she's incredible.
She's like a super athletic person.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I've always just been like on the computer, So this is like the first time that I've and again, like I was saying, like moving to Hawaii connected me in some way. I can't really even describe it yet, or I don't have the words yet. But like to nature, to the vibrations of like living. It feels alive here. Yeah. And
all woo-woo stuff aside, I lived in Hawaii. I lived on Maui.
That's right.
So I'm familiar with that feeling, and I don't think it's only psychological. There is some kind of magnetism happening there. There is something special about that land and that place. That's like not woo-woo, like some actual like laws of physics special properties there.
I don't know. I'll buy that. Yeah, for sure. And I also started like connecting to my body in ways that I've never have before. I'm a very cerebral person, right? Like I've always been kind of like thinking in the future, thinking about design, thinking about how things are made or what they could be made like. Mm-hmm. For the first time in my life, really, maybe I was able to kind of like think and be inside of my body and love my body, and getting, running kind of sparked that off. And then being like running in environments that were like conducive to those connections, like running through the forest or through the jungles and paths and trails and stuff, or along the beach. So it's been such a great experience for me. Turning 40 was like, I remember when I turned 30, I was depressed. I was so bummed out because I was done with my 20s and I had no idea how 30s would go. And it was just difficult. I remember the conversations that I was having back then, compared to the conversations I was having when I was 40. And I was like, I remember showing up to work, and like a lot of the people that I work with are a little bit younger than me. I was like, guys, I'm 40. And everybody's like, and I was like, it's a good thing. It's a good, I hope you get here. Like, it's good. A lot of people are not here and will never be. Moving along. So yeah, Soundbite podcast, 2nd season. Awesome. And then the work, as I said, at YouTube Music as well, really accelerated after I got in my 40s, kind of started connecting, I don't know, all these themes. It's just been really, really powerful. I would say that I'm overworked right now. I would say that I'm coming towards burnout, and I'm trying to like find out how to, I mean, I'm being polite about that. I think I'm already burnt out. I think like I'm dealing with burnout right now. But I will say like the pace of my work and also the quality of my work is hitting on all cylinders. And I wish I could unblur this for you guys. Like I'm very proud of the work that I'm doing at work, and I could talk a little bit more about it. Oh, here's something I can talk about because it's published publicly. But one of the projects that I did last year was, so I'm the, you said, what do you do at YouTube Music? Mm-hmm. So I'm the UX designer for community and collaboration. So a lot of that is like playlisting, collaborative playlists is something that we're like working on. It's huge. And a big release that we had recently was like generative AI covers for your playlist. So you can go to YouTube Music and, instead of having like a grid of just the songs, you can, create something and
I like that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. Actually, it's kind of like, it's actually a lot of fun because a lot of generative AI, you have to like go and like think about the prompt and like, I don't know how this works. But the way that I designed it, if I can, going too fast. I was going to show you this, but anyway, you have a prompt at the bottom already there, and it's kind of like playing Mad Libs. You swap out the terms and see what happens. And so it's really explorative. It's really kind of fun, and it's also safe. So like this was designed in kind of like the, last year. So like the earlier stages of generative AI where like, especially like we talked about at big companies where risk is very risky. If I made something that was
if
dangerous,
the AI starts like making some bad
or if like like
yeah.
inappropriate things, right? Whatever, violence, sexual, whatever. So we had to like really make sure to design a process where people could enjoy using generative AI and also like remain safe. But also I would say that and I could go into like the philosophy of it. You can kind of see right here, like the prompt is down here. You can change this word and something else will come. You can change this word and something else will come. But a lot of the thing about AI is that this project informed my philosophy of AI, which is like around articulation and language. Because, the substrate of all of this, like one of my favorite bands is like Modest Mouse, and they say language is the liquid that we're all dissolved in. It's great for solving problems after it started a problem. But anyway, that's the lyric. That. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
But it's true. Like language is this soup that we're all in, and AI is like really there. Like that's where it's at. So people who have a hard time articulating themselves will naturally have a harder time working with AI. And so the job of the designer is to increase the articulation of the user, to enable them, to empower them to interface with the AI in more, to get better outcomes. And this project is really, really great at demonstrating those principles because it's creating opportunities for people to use language that they may not, maybe not everybody knows what Art Nouveau is. Maybe not everybody knows how to talk about a data sculpture, but through manipulating these terms that give you, the user, language to express an idea or even discover a novel idea.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I really love this project because not only is it just fun and cool, and it was like the first AI project from YouTube, and I think maybe one of the first at Google, maybe if not the first. It was also really, really demonstrating the personal philosophy of AI that I've developed over working through it. Yeah.
Is it using, what is Google's AI? Is it Gemini or Bard? Which one is which?
Gemini.
Gemini is Google's.
Yeah, Bard was like an early experiment, which is kind of gone. You can't get Bard anymore. So Gemini
Bard
replaced
was Google's. Okay, so I'm not mistaken. That was from Google, but it's over.
both. Yeah. So Bard was an early experiment from Google, and then that closed. And now Gemini is like our more production ready premium AI model. Yeah, Gemini is lit, dude. So this is actually not. This was before Gemini. Right. So we were using models that are not as advanced as Gemini, but the work that I'm doing now, I get to use Gemini, and it's multimodal. I'm nerding out right now.
Gemini looks amazing.
It's
I
so
meant to
cool.
send you a video that I came across the other day that they have it integrated into Google, into the Notes.
Yeah.
What's it called? I can't remember the Google Note.
There's a Note app on Google.
No, but it's where you can do like scientific research.
Oh yeah.
What is it called? And you could run Python code and run apps, and
I don't know specifically what you're talking about, but I've seen
a product from Google. I can't remember the name of it, but
yes,
I use it from time to time. A lot of people use it pretty often if they do like data science and stuff. But within that, you have these notebooks, and they've integrated Gemini, where you can bring in all of your resources. So you can create a notebook and bring in articles and PDFs and all this stuff, and then have all of your own notes. And that note interface will train on your notes.
Yes,
and you can tell it to train on specific notes or notes outside of this collection of notes. Or it's really, really interesting what they're doing. I meant to send it to you the other day when I came across it, but I forgot.
I'm really fortunate right now at this time of the planet, because I really yeah, we all are.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah. Google Collab, that's what it is.
Google Collab.
Sorry,
thanks, Dave.
Dave Lara, thank you, Dave. Yeah, Google Collab, that's what I was trying to think of. That's where it is. Yeah.
Lit. I just feel very fortunate because I get to see all of these different demos and these different experiments and ideas that never make the light of day. And and like I'm talking to you AI researchers all the time, and I'm friends with people who are at like the very edge of like what's possible with this stuff, and they're showing me and telling me things, showing resources, giving me demos that I can mess with. It's like, it's such an exciting time. And there's a whole lot of other stuff, debates and conversations that are super, important to have, but just focusing in on like it's like opening a present every other week. Like there's something new. Yeah, it's so exciting.
There's a bit of like Imagitorium or what was the Imaginarium?
Imaginarium.
What's the fake word? But I think Disney used it, and there was a movie called something Imaginarium. But it has that kind of feeling when you're there, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's essentially magical. Yeah.
That's
far
cool.
out. Yeah, let's keep.
Yeah, it's too bad you can't talk publicly on some of the coolest stuff that you've seen there.
Well, I mean, some of this stuff I probably could, but I don't really know where the edge is.
Right.
So, like, if you go and like find the research, go look at the blogs and stuff, there's tons of really, really awesome stuff. And also, like, talking to the engineers, I'm learning about where Google positions itself with the other people in the market, and one of our some of our strategic benefits and things like that. Again, I don't even know what I can talk about, but like I know that our chips, like our AI chips compared to others in the market, are very advanced, but we just don't talk about them enough. It's kind of like the whole Spotify versus YouTube Music. Why don't I know about this thing? Is that like NVIDIA is getting all this press, but like behind the scenes, there's like a lot I don't know.
Is there a singular marketing department? Is that why? And they're spread thin, or are there individual marketing departments within each of these? Like, does YouTube Music have its own marketing department?
I think,
or does that get outsourced to like the general Google marketing department?
I think it's yes and yes. So like, but in my opinion, not enough. Like I would like to see more from them. But we do have an internal marketing department, and I think YouTube Music is coupled with YouTube. But and then also there's like you could be a contractor and get an agency and get a contract or whatever. But I don't know. I'm not really too much into that.
I hate to keep asking about the YouTube Music, but I do have one other question.
Okay, and then we're gonna get away from YouTube entirely.
I do have one question, because I release my music through DistroKid, and it will publish automatically to YouTube and like put it up as a release. But I noticed that like I made music videos for those songs, and I'm like, oh, I want those on the releases. So it creates kind of this special playlist that you don't have access to it from your YouTube channel studio. So what are the benefits? I guess that's my question. What are the benefits of publishing to YouTube Music via a distribution service like DistroKid versus just uploading the video to YouTube?
Yeah, so if you upload to YouTube directly, you'll have a YouTube channel, you know, like just standard YouTube channel, kind of like DevTips, what we're talking on right now. But as a music artist, the reason you would use DistroKid is because then you would get an official artist channel. So like,
which I have, yeah.
Yes.
But
And
once you have that, then what's the benefit?
IDK. An official artist channel is a way to separate if you're a serious musician or like a YouTuber on the weekend kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they're connected with the music label industry. And in fact, the music label industries are the ones who invested in these distribution like DistroKid and CD Baby and all these other ones.
Okay.
I'm not too great at that stuff. I'm not really too great at like the business end of like labels and stuff. I really do focus on the consumer end, like who's listening to YouTube Music, what is their experience like?
Yeah. Because as an artist, you know, you do have to go through a lot of rigmarole publishing your work. You know, publishing it directly to all these sources is annoying, so you go through DistroKid that publishes it everywhere.
Yeah.
But like after publishing music through DistroKid to YouTube and then logging into the same YouTube channel and just uploading a video, it's like, oh, this is kind of the best way to release music, is to just upload a video to YouTube, just skip DistroKid, skip everything, and just upload this video. The problem is then it's not associated with YouTube Music. Even though I have an official music channel, it's just a little discombobulated, and it's so confusing for people like me, like normal musicians that just want to publish their work.
I agree with you. I don't know see a lot of the people who go through like the official music, artist channel through the distribution, I'm not sure how close they are to managing their channel on an individual like we are with DevTips. Like do they upload the video and do they read the comments and stuff? I don't know, you know.
A lot of people do. A
lot of them have their label do it.
There are more musicians that aren't in that position and do it themselves than there are who have labels doing it for them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the number of people making music and publishing it themselves is massive. I mean, it's massive. Yeah. I mean, if someone has a label and the label manages it for them, great. I feel like that part of the equation can just be removed. They're doing their own thing. I'm talking about the real people, right? The SoundCloud producers, right?
That's right. How
does YouTube Music step in? And I get the competitive nature with Spotify. Yeah. But how do you feel? I think it would even be better. I mean, in my opinion, my dumb opinion, but it would be better to fill in the void that SoundCloud left, because everybody has YouTube. Everybody loves YouTube. Everybody watches it. They got it on their TV, on their Fire Stick, on their iPhones, and the music thing. The first videos, the thing that kicked off this channel was the whole struggle for the artist. Patreon Jack Conte video that he put out.
That's right.
And yeah, it seems like there's a void there, and it is interesting because YouTube Music seems set up to step in and fill that. If they can just kind of get organized about where things live, if that makes any sense.
Dave says he'd like to be able to purchase the music directly on the applications.
Yeah.
Regarding your insights there, I agree with you. I think that YouTube is uniquely positioned to be kind of like the go-to place for that early stage kind of artist, or the artist who wants to remain independent.
Bedroom producers.
Yeah. Yes. And I identify that way. And so I am like an advocate for that modality. But at the same time, I'm making those decisions. And I don't really, because I'm not.
Well, you're not in charge of that stuff, right? Someone else. No. Which is why I don't have a problem talking honestly about it.
No,
right?
and I agree with you. Like, I think that I would love it if people thought generally that YouTube and YouTube Music was the inheritor of the SoundCloud vibe, where that's where you're going to go to break. That's where you're going to go to engage with your audience directly. And we want that. And I
Well,
know we want that, but
what's
it's
interesting,
hard.
YouTube already is that.
I know, right?
Like, how many producers start a YouTube channel and engage with their audience that way?
Straight up.
You know, and they used to drive their audience either to their website or to Patreon, but now YouTube at least has like memberships, so they kind of are, you know, people don't have to go over to another platform. They can just monetize their audience there.
That's right.
So it's kind of already happening, but it doesn't seem like there's any overarching acknowledgement, because it seems like YouTube Music's a separate thing over here when
Yeah.
all of this stuff is happening over here. Like, I guess I'm just curious, like, how can it be brought together or like be more obvious that YouTube Music is this area?
Yeah,
Because it seems like YouTube Music, if you go like looking at the app that you showed me, and it looks clean, but it's not the same type of discovery that you have on just YouTube General. On YouTube General, you can find videos, watch producers, go through tutorials, get into their music, discover them. They can connect with their audience. It doesn't seem like that functionality lives on YouTube Music. Does it?
Like the audience engagement, like that. Yeah. So we just launched comments. So now if you're listening to a song, you can read all the comments on that song, which is really cool.
Okay.
And we are launching other kind of community things, and we're also working to grow our presence on YouTube main, the YouTube Music's presence on YouTube main. So we have like music on YouTube versus YouTube Music. And yeah, there's a constant negotiation there, right? There's a constant, ecosystem that needs to grow here. We need to support here. We need to do this. And like, it's definitely something that we want is to have full and vibrant communities on YouTube Music that are engaging with their artists. We want artists to feel like YouTube Music is the place to go to grow their audience, to make record sales. We like,
just
you
go
can
to one place, publish your stuff, engage your audience.
Yeah.
You don't got to deal with TikTok. You don't have to deal with Instagram. It would be nice if it was like, I'm looking forward to that day. So
we have a lot of headroom in terms of our opportunity, for sure. All right, so we're going to jump away from YouTube and specifically my design work and kind of just talk about the important things. So life lately, one of the other things that the pandemic specifically, but I guess just life since then has done for me, since leaving the channel, since like transitioning to a fully remote work, has given me a chance to like really strengthen the relationship with my children and my spouse. And this has been amazing time in Hawaii, the rainbow state.
Wow.
Yeah,
look at that rainbow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
This hike that we're on here, we're kind of on the ridge, but it goes down. We're probably going to go hike it after we're done talking here. I'm going to take the kids up there, but it goes down to this gorgeous waterfall where like you can just do some cliff jumping. There's a rope swing and everything. It's just like,
Nice.
And like only locals are ever there. Like it's not on the maps. It's not like on the tourist spots, and it's kind of hard to get to. It's like, it's quite a journey to get down there, like rocks and mud and stuff.
Are you local now, bro?
I live here.
Well, living there doesn't make you a local.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not going to comment.
Okay.
But yeah, like one thing that I have taken up, like when I was in Vegas, I would do like a lot of skating and biking and Utah biking, California longboarding. I've started going out into nature and learning how to. Oh, I got more family pictures here. Look at this.
Oh,
these are my
that's a cool photo.
Yeah.
How about spam and eggs? Have you developed a taste for spam and eggs yet?
Well, so they have this dish called musubi out here.
Musubi, yeah.
Musubi is spam and rice wrapped in
rice.
seaweed with some furikake.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's good. And I remember my first experiment in trying to make it versus where we are now. Like, I'm very good at making musubi now. Like I make a killer musubi. It's better than what you can get at a restaurant. I even have a variation that I make. Oh, thank you, Salim. We even have a variation that I make, which is a tofu and tuna and grapes version.
Okay.
Yeah, the grapes are like that little hint of zesty sweetness inside of the bite of musubi, and then also like tons of hot sauce. So it gets a little wild. It gets a little wild. But yeah, I like musubi. That's my dish that I make. If somebody's coming over, like I'll make them my chef's version of musubi. It's like a gourmet
It's like a fusion version.
Yeah, it's really good. And also like I taught the kids to make it. So like if I'm like really tired that day, I'm like, hey, we're having musubi, put on the rice, you guys make it. Like they can handle it. So it's cool.
To
So
this
this
day, spam, eggs, and rice slaps.
Yeah.
To this day.
This is a picture I took on my surfboard. And so out here, the kind of the activity that I've taken to is surfing. I want to talk about that for a little second. So this is my crew. We surf every Sunday. So it's tomorrow morning. I'm going to get up before the sun and go out to our spot, meet my boys. And it's so rare to get a picture of yourself catching a wave, right? So Gary here caught this picture on his little GoPro. Yeah, we got Sam over here ahead on the wave, and that's me. I still haven't gotten a rash guard yet, so I'm always like the dude with nipples, just in the water. But it's so much fun. Like this is something that I'm not good at.
Longboarding or shortboarding?
Longboarding. Longboarding. Yeah. This is me on my longboard. Getting good. I'm entering some competitions.
Man,
learning new tricks.
You look great there.
Thank you.
Looking good, bro.
Yeah. Just having a good time.
Did you show this whole thing at work? This whole thing? Did you make it through the whole thing? Yeah.
Yeah. Just me and some guy's dog. Just catching the waves with a dog,
It's pretty cool.
Trying out my new bikini. In the Olympics. You didn't know that, did you? You didn't know that I was an Olympic surfer.
No, I think I did know that, yeah.
Yeah, big tubes too. Getting barreled, bro. Just getting barreled like pshaw. I don't know
what.
Does
it look like the guy in the background has roller blades on?
It does, yeah. Yeah, and I don't like this. Looks like this guy has, or that's me. Looks like he has like some kind of like either he's wearing sandals. This guy has knee pads. Why does he got knee pads?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in this. I think everything is superimposed in this photo.
He has a wetsuit on under his swimming. I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, that's me getting barreled. This is me and Kelly Slater. This is after he won the world championship for like the 9th time. He was just so overwhelmed. All I could do was just give him a hug because you're
a comforting guy. Yeah, this is
support my homies.
Yep.
Yeah. This is me and the Duke.
How long does this bit go for?
Too long, like way too long.
Don't get me wrong, I love it. I'm a fan.
This is me and the Duke back in the 70s, in Waikiki, getting on the map.
Please tell me you have more.
Actually, my neighbor over there, he's the coolest guy. He's this wild boy. He invites me over. We go like, I've never done it before, but he has like this cold plunge pool. We go do that.
That's sick.
But he was in his day a championship tandem surfer. So he would flip people up on his shoulders. Like he used to do this type of stuff. He's a cool guy. Okay. Anyway, this is me riding the Duke's shoulders. Here's at the that's the Hoover Dam. The inauguration of the Hoover Dam. This is me and Muhammad Ali. Just surfing a wave behind Muhammad Ali. Knocking out sunny Lisbon. That's me and George Washington crossing the Delaware.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
This is me and Neil.
Of course it is.
Just planting a flag on the moon, catching a wave.
You couldn't wait to get to this part. Now I realize the whole time leading up to this, you're like, just wait, we're almost there.
Yeah, 2 hours to arrive at this joke. This is like why I wanted to do this. This is me and JFK.
That was JFK at his happiest.
His
Look
best.
how happy he is right there.
He's looking good, smiling. Nothing can bring this guy down.
Nothing
can ruin this guy's day.
Nothing can ruin that day, yeah.
This is me and the Titanic. I'm so glad that you like these. I was in a meeting at work running through this stuff. I'm like, this is me and the Titanic. Everybody's like, what?
They didn't appreciate that bit. I think it makes the bit better if they're like, "What's happening?"
No, dude. Well, it was kind of funny because, as I said, it was like that we had a few guests that are not normally in that meeting, and I was like, I thought this was like a safe space Friday meeting morning. We're just gonna dick around or mess around, and then I'm showing this stuff, and these guys are like they're like trying to get their like their thing approved, and I'm like, this is me in the Titanic. This is me in the Egyptians.
How many of these? Hold on.
I don't know. A few more.
How much time did you spend on these?
Dude, I spent more time like selecting the family photos than I did on these things.
Okay.
This happened very quickly, but it also happened like the night before, like at midnight.
The best things happen that way. The
Yeah,
run and
yeah.
gun
You
stuff.
just laughing and going next. Googling like historical photos next, Here's
for
me.
Real, win surf tips. Oh, this is you. I remember this. Yeah, when you surfed your way into the
anime.
into anime.
Surf tips. That's right. We
Please
got.
tell me there's more. Yes.
Just surfing on the Goombas,
You're a good guy, Travis. I love you, man. You're good people.
Okay, so that's my crew. That's me and Sam, Kevin.
If you were hilarious,
Mike,
the
Gary.
next one would be another superimposed shot.
I know, right? No, we're gonna end it
No
here.
more. That's
this
it.
is the last. This is the last one. This is my favorite spot in the world. I go here when I need to kind of just like zone in,
Yeah.
The little beach on Windward side. Not a lot of people go there, but the sunrise. And so not only the favorite space, like favorite beach area, location, but it's favorite time. Like you have to go to these places at the right time. Like everything works. Sunrise
and
is
sunset in Hawaii is insane.
Insane.
Yeah, when I lived there, I lived on Maui, and like I worked on Front Street in Lahaina.
Okay.
Which I think is completely burned down now, which is super
man.
sad. But it was so funny because the sunset, the way it affected tourists, like just what a tourist attraction it was. And I lived there and I loved it. It's beautiful, obviously.
Yeah.
But I just remember like seeing all these people and I'm like, do they have this much appreciation for sunset back home? Like it is particularly beautiful in Hawaii, obviously. But I don't think that same appreciation persists when a lot
Vegas
of people
had good
on vacation.
sunsets, right?
Yeah, every place has great sunsets. Go
Vegas,
there.
particularly because of the smog. It get nice
It got a
purple,
nice
pinks, and
purple.
oranges. Yeah.
Yeah, but the desert also is a magical place.
Desert. Yeah, the desert
Talking
is
about
very
psychedelic, the desert out there is one of the most psychedelic places. It's a magical place outside of the city.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the purples and the blues of Utah desert more than the grays of the Las Vegas desert. You feel me?
Yeah. Well, once you're outside of the city and you're in the desert, it's like blue skies, but it gets pretty purple and red, and it has beautiful colors at nighttime out in the desert.
Yeah.
And it's just in the city. It's
gray.
Yeah. But was that the end?
That's the end.
It just ends there?
That's how I ended it. I was like, I'm going to bed now, and that's it.
And when you were presenting this at work, what happened at the end there?
Oh,
Did people applaud?
Yeah. A lot of these types of things. Throwing up the emojis.
Nice.
Like that. Yeah. No, we got a good crew, and then in the work chats afterwards, they're like posting and asking questions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a good time. But
Sick,
yeah,
bro.
I wanted to share that presentation with you. It took so
Thank
long,
you.
man. We've been doing for 2.5 hours.
That was
So
a long presentation.
dude.
Yeah.
When I did it at work, it was like less than 20 minutes. I was just running through this stuff. Yeah. I was just racing through it.
Really?
Like,
we did
next.
It was my fault. I stopped you. I wanted to engage and start conversations.
No, this has been fun, dude. This is our first live stream with DevTips, and the wonderful thing about doing it for 2.5 hours is that
no editing.
I'm not going to edit anything. Like it's done.
Yep.
Done. So
done. Don't got to worry about it.
And I
Run
really
and
like
gun, baby.
Dave, it's all good. I really liked having Dave in the chat. Salim, Clark, everybody who is showing up. What other names do we have? Manuel.
It's actually way better with people
Adam,
here.
Andrew is there, Parth, Jace, Ifurliz, STO. We had a lot of great people in the chat. Yeah, it is really good to have them,
Adam.
the DevTips. Adam, yeah, dude, it's been cool, man. I've really enjoyed this, but I am also ready for to be done. Are you good? Yeah. Did you have a good 2.5 hour live stream, bro?
Yeah, that was very fun. It was very informative. I learned a lot about you.
Yeah, this is also kind of fun. Like we have so much of a shared history in our lives. I've known you for so long, and even when we weren't friends, like our lives kind of had this orbiting thing. But like this is a more like, I don't know, intimate or nuanced kind of sharing with you that I've never showed you these pictures before, and so I was like really honored to share this part of myself with you, just like further our relationship. Cool. Yeah. Well, we're gonna hang up now.
That was fun. Thank you, everybody in the chat. It is much more fun when there's people here with us to chat with. That's warm very now. Cool.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I know this wasn't necessarily about DevTips, but I think a lot of the stuff that we talked about, like it applies to everyone in their career.
Absolutely. And I want the channel to be about what's on our mind. I don't really want the channel to be about trying to do the next tutorial or whatever. Tutorials are fine; they're welcome, and probably we'll see some in the future. But I want it to be like, Max, I said this before, like in private, you have carte blanche. Me channel is Sue channel. So like next time when you're hosting the live stream, we're gonna talk about whatever you want to talk about. Okay. And speaking of next time, let's tell them when we'll be back. When should we'll do this weekly?
Yeah, are we doing it the same time, same bat time, same bat place?
That's it. Okay, so we'll see you guys next Saturday, and Max, hang on the channel. We'll talk a little bit more. We're going to end the stream. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching my 2-hour presentation.
See you next time.
So self-indulgent. All right, take care. Surf tips. Bye. End stream.